people complain about young black male unemployment. So then that leads people in to incarcerate them. You end up with black men being warehoused because black people pose the greatest genetic threat.
There we go. There we go. We should have sound now. Sorry, I just updated my broadcast software, and sometimes after a fresh update, you have to go in and make some changes to kind of put things back to where they're supposed to be. But I'm certain you guys should be able to hear me now, so I appreciate it. By the way, family, you know what time it is. Your man Mark Black. Welcome. Welcome to Sucka-Free Saturday. I am glad to see you all here today. We're going to talk about some recent events, what this means for us as the descendants of the enslaved here in the United States, and some interesting shit moving forward. But before I get into it, fam, I just want to, first of all, shout out all of my supporting members. Rhonda Brown, Black Magic, Brother Hermes Mora, Miss Denny, Cool Unk, Sister Taj, and Back to the Basics. If you haven't considered becoming a supporting member, fam, and you can take a look at that join button there at the bottom of the video, right? There's a couple of different tiers and levels of support. Membership has its privileges. So, plus it makes sure that a brother, keeps some food on the table, right? I got a powerful need to eat sometime this month, and I appreciate your help with that, right? So, no pressure. I still love you. I'm just glad you're here, but if you can consider becoming a supporting member of the channel. And I also want to shout out everybody in the chat today. Brother James Harden came early. Fam, I hope you're still here. Welcome to the broadcast. Cool Uncle's in the house. Namaste, John. I see you, fam. Sister Alma is in the house. AJ is in the house. Miss Denny is in the house. LaBestia putting the time in. I see you, fam. Representing ADOS. Welcome to the broadcast. So, fam, we want to talk, or I should say I want to talk. Thank you, Miss Denny, for the love. I appreciate it. I want to talk today about, well, it happened. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, also known as RBG, otherwise known as the notorious RBG, has shuffled off the mortal coil after a battle with cancer. All right. She sat on the Supreme Court for many years. And so there is a vacancy now.
For your efforts.
There's a vacancy now on the Supreme Court of the United States. And fam, I gotta tell you, I really try hard not to indulge in too much schadenfreude, but I gotta be honest with you, fam. The tears that I'm seeing all over social media is sustaining my soul right now. let's be clear, right? For whatever you might think of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she was definitely no friend to black folk. All right. She was among the justices that recently ruled in the case, the Byron Allen case, that basically gutted the Civil Rights Act of 1866. She's also made other rulings that have not been into our favor, or been a part of other rulings that have not been in our favor. Not to mention the fact that of all the justices on the court, she's the only one that has had like one black person clerk for them. Now, I know it seems like it's not a big deal to say, oh, you clerk for a Supreme Court justice. Fam, clerking for a Supreme Court justice for an attorney is basically a career maker, right? If you clerked for a Supreme Court justice, you basically write your own ticket. Law firms seek out former clerks of the Supreme Court and pay them well, right? A lot of Supreme Court clerks go into professorships in law schools and shit like that, right? It's a pretty important and valuable position to hold. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg made sure that there wouldn't be too many black folk that would have that opportunity. Meanwhile, what's interesting to me is Justice Kavanaugh, right? That was just appointed to the Supreme Court, already has I think 2 or 3 black American clerks. I have to get the information, but I was reading somewhere where he's already appointed 3, 4 black people, women, the whole 9 yards, right? So I just think that's interesting for, RBG to have this so-called liberal firebrand on the court reputation, yet she liberal in everything except when it comes to dealing with black folk. But for real, family, is that a shocker to any of you? Especially with our current understanding of how the Democrats have truly operated when it comes to us and our interests? Is it really a shocker to any of you that RBG, while she may be this liberal, icon that will now be deified, in death, that somehow in reality she was just that much less than for black people? Right? Is that surprising? By the way, shout out to Sister Kimberly Richardson. Welcome to the broadcast, sister. Welcome to Sucka-Free Saturday. I want to talk about what comes next. I know I titled it Bye RBG, but the broadcast is Bye RBG because I'm saying goodbye, good riddance. You are no hero of mine. I'll let the rest of America lionize you and make you into some sort of icon you weren't. But you didn't mean shit for me and my people. Good riddance. No, I want us to talk about what comes next. Because believe it or not, fam, what comes next is going to be just as crazy as the death of a Supreme Court justice is. That's right, La Bestia, sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. No, actually, I don't want to see you again. So goodbye. Hasta la pasta. Right? Exactly, man. What's crazy is that they'll tell us that we can't make no heroes of anybody that we respect, that we revere, that do anything for us. They tell us we can't make heroes of, of people that fight against the system and this, that, and the third. But they'll take somebody who ain't shit and make a hero out of them. They try to make Kyle Rittenhouse a goddamn hero. I mean, they'll take their dirtiest, filthiest, lousiest, no good citizens. One interesting thing to note, too, is that Ruth Bader Ginsburg was made into white folks in this country. She's a child of immigrants. Like, her mother was born here, I think, in the United States, but her father is from Europe. Isn't it interesting, fam, how we as black people have to answer to all these white faces that ain't even American, that don't have our history here, that don't have our foothold here? We had to try to deal with Bernard Sanders, who is a child of fucking immigrants. We had to deal with RBG sitting on the motherfucking court, who's a child of immigrants. To show you our relative position as a bottom caste in this country, we're having to deal with motherfuckers who are barely American, who just got here. What up, black man? I see you, fam. Welcome to the broadcast. Stakes is high, by the way. Long time no see is in the house. So I want to talk about what comes next. Because I couldn't give less than a fuck about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Truth be told, I couldn't give less than a fuck about the Supreme Court of the United States at all. I want to talk about some of the pressures that people will try to throw at you, right? The white liberal class and they black pets. They'll tell you that it's more important now than ever to vote for Jim Crow Joe and Kamala. Because look at what happens if Trump has access to a new Supreme Court justice. Fam, can I let y'all in on a little motherfucking secret? Just a tiny one. The Supreme Court has basically been lost to black people since Thurgood Marshall retired. You know, Thurgood Marshall retiring made it possible for Clarence Thomas to be appointed to the Supreme Court. And we know what a friend of black people Clarence Thomas has been. White folks come at us, these white liberals, come at us, and they say, we got to save the Supreme Court. We got to make sure we vote for whatever bullshit ass Democrat that they put up in the whole 9 yards. Because we got to save the courts. Fam, do you know how many judicial appointments in the federal courts that Trump has been able to get through? They can't push any stimulus packages or anything like that to actually help the people. But even after this latest recess, when they came back, Mitch the Turtle McConnell and the Senate Republicans got to appointing and approving judges in the lower courts, the lower federal courts, left and fucking right. Sure enough, the courts are already lost to us. And now, with the death of RBG, Trump's going to have a chance to put another one in there. Coincidentally, right before Election Day, which promises to be the most contested presidential election in the history of the country. If either one does not win by a complete and utter fucking landslide, you thought that Gore v. Bush was a shit show. This one's going to be one for the history books. Now, I got to give it to Trump and company. Because back when Barack Obama had an opportunity to put a justice on the Supreme Court, Mitch McConnell and them ran game. They said, no, it's about to be an election. Let the people decide who it is that appoints the new judge to go on to the bench. And Barack Obama's stupid ass said, oh, okay. Because he wanted to push through Merrick Garland, remember? But now we're right in the throes of a new election. Spot opens up on the Supreme Court. And Trump said, don't worry, I have a nominee ready for y'all next week. Man, you can say whatever the fuck you want. You can say whatever the fuck you want about the Republicans. But them motherfuckers don't give a shit about the law, about custom, about compromise, none of that shit. Trump was like, oh, she's dead? What a travesty. That's an amazing woman. Guess what? I'm gonna put somebody in there by next week. I'll have somebody sitting in front of Mitch and Company by next week. Her body ain't even cold. And Trump already said, oh yeah, I got a short list. This is the best short list anybody's ever seen. Facts, Alan. These Democrats are some sorry bitches, man. I'm serious. How is it that we as black folk ever thought? Now, I'm not saying that we should fuck with the Republicans or anything like that. But what I'm saying is if you see the bitch assness of the Democrats, how this is essentially a one-party system at this point, right? With the Republicans running the show and the Democrats polishing knob. How could we have ever thought that they would ever fight for us? How could we? Barack Obama never met a fucking compromise he wasn't willing to make. And I'm sorry to be the one to tell you, but bipartisanship ain't fucking leadership. You can say whatever the fuck you like about Donald Trump, but Donald Trump is gonna push for the shit he wants, good or bad. And he don't give a fuck if you like it. That's real talk. He don't give a fuck if you like it. He's like, hey, I'm the president. There's a spot open. I'm putting somebody in it. Barack Obama's weak-willed, jelly-backed, sorry, emasculated, ballless ass didn't find a compromise he wasn't willing to make. And you know what, though? Here's the crazy part about it. Barack Obama was simply the figurehead on top of that same policy with everything when it comes to the fucking Dems. Or haven't y'all noticed that the Dems have been signing off on all these judicial appointments to the lower courts of all these ultra-conservative judges? The Dems haven't been challenging them, the Republicans in the Senate on any of this shit. The Dems put forward the HEROES Act, like $3.5 trillion, that could actually do something for the people. And as soon as the motherfucking Republicans said, nah, we ain't going for it, they're like, well, okay, let's make a deal. The Democrats are always willing to sell out their principles, to make a deal, to sweeten the pot so that they can get the Republicans on board. Fuck no. The Republicans is like, we got the Senate, we got the White House, and we about to nominate another justice on the motherfucking Supreme Court. We ramming every motherfucking thing we want down y'all throats. Yeah, but you said in 2016, what did that mean? Why you bringing up old shit? Seriously, fam? The Republicans is like, why you bringing up old shit? That was 3 years ago. Fam, I'm watching this shit. And I'm sorry, I know my laugh is evil because I'm filled with schadenfreude. We've had to listen to the Dems tell us to wait, or we'll eventually get around to doing something for niggas. And by 2016 and in 2020, they've even made it clear they're not doing shit for us anyway. Like, they made it patently clear. They will feel our pain. They'll empathize. They ain't offering nothing resembling policy for us. No legislation, no care or concern, no day one shit. It's not happening. If you are a descendant of slaves in this motherfucker, fuck you is what the Democrats are seeing in 2016, in 2020. And you know the crazy part is that I see now why we fucked with the Democrats for so long. I'm serious, fam. I actually see why. I really do. I see it. But before I get into that part, I do want to say what's up to everybody else. See, Ova is in the house. Tab Liquor's in the house, fam. I see you. Brother Ramirez is in the house. Welcome to the broadcast, fam. Let's see here. Alan R. Shout out to you. Sister Tiffany's in the house. Queen Jet Black, beloved, glad to see you. Welcome to the broadcast. I see why now we fuck with the Democrats. Because the Democrats remind me a lot, or at least in their public rhetoric, of Negroes. Right? The Republicans remind me of America. Americans don't give a fuck about the law, the rules, honor, justice, righteousness, honesty, integrity, none of that shit. When it comes to the almighty dollar and power, Americans have no fucking scruples. None. And neither do the Republicans. So the Republicans will get in some degree of power, any degree of power, by the way. It don't have to be a lot. They don't have to have... Isn't it funny how the Democrats can have control of both the House, the Senate, and the motherfucking White House and can't get shit done? Yet the Republicans can have maybe the White House and one of the houses in Congress and push through any goddamn thing they want. Because it's a difference of attitude. The Republicans ram through something and the Democrats sit there and go, oh, that's not fair. That's not the rules. That's not what you said you was going to do. Kind of like niggas do. When everybody gets policy, when everybody gets legislation but us. And then we go and say, well, you know, we voted for you. We was at 80 and 90% for you. And you didn't do nothing for us. Right? I see why we fucked with them for so long. Because the Democrats just talk good. They just talk a good ass game. But they're not actually really in any major opposition with anything real that the Republicans push forward. Which is why you don't hear from them motherfuckers. The only time you hear from the Democrats is if the Republicans just get too egregious with shit. Right? Let me explain what I'm talking about. How many of y'all remember that Barack Obama deported more illegal immigrants, illegal aliens, than any president before him in the history of the country? How many? Papa, put a one in the chat if you were cognizant that Barack Obama, under his 8 years, he deported more motherfuckers who were here illegally than any other president that came before him. Shout out to Since I'm Here, by the way, and RFK Tech. Rating Womb Man, long time no see. Welcome to the broadcast. Barack Obama was flying these motherfuckers out here in fleets. Right? So the Democrats don't have no real problem with like deporting these motherfuckers and housing them and this, that, and the third. Because remember that speech that we talked about with Joe Biden where he said he kept the country under control and it wasn't a bunch of chaos? That's true. That's absolutely true. All of the shit that they accused Trump of doing, Barack Obama and Jim Crow Joe Biden were doing during Barack Obama's administration, and the country was fucking quiet. It was silent. There were no protests in the motherfucking streets. There wasn't nobody crying saying, oh, they're locking these poor babies up. None of that shit was an issue until Donald Trump started doing it. Now it's defund ICE. It's abolish ICE. Barack Obama was doing the same fucking shit. The media was as silent as mice pissing on cotton. Thousands upon thousands of deportees being sent the fuck out of here under Barack Obama's administration. But now Biden wants to give motherfucking day one citizenship to illegal immigrants? The fuck out of here. Barack Obama still continued the 1033 program that militarized the police. And on top of that, in the height of us getting killed out here in the motherfucking streets, supported and signed the Blue Lives Matter legislation. Creating a whole new class of citizens that didn't even exist before. It's black folk, white folk, and now blue folk. Ain't that a bitch? But it's only a crime, right? It's only an outrage when Trump do it. Make this shit make sense. Exactly, Sister Alma. Everything that Trump is doing, they put the motherfucking pieces into play. It was Democrats that passed the motherfucking crime bills that allow for no-knock raids and all this other shit that turns the police into occupying forces in our communities. If a Republican president then comes along and takes advantage of that, how the fuck is it his fault? When it was Democrats that gave him the power to do it in the first place. The Democrats are Decepticons, fam. They Decepticons. They still Transformers, though. They ain't no different than the Republicans. Now they're trying to tell us, these vote-shaming ass bastards are trying to tell us that, hey, you niggas gotta turn out and vote because of the Supreme Court. For what? Fam, the Supreme Court, every time they have a chance to rule on anything in black people's favor, fail to do so. Or they make the ruling so egregious that there's no way that any black person will ever meet the standard. So vote for what? Now that RBG has shuffled off the mortal motherfucking coil, right? Good riddance to bad fucking rubbish. Now that she done, kicked the bucket. And Donald Trump has full carte blanche to nominate a new goddamn Supreme Court justice. What else they gonna use to bash us over the head to try to get us to support Jim Crow Joe? What else? We all know for a fact that for us, as the descendants of the enslaved here in the United States, as ADOS folk, that the courts have already been lost to us. As a matter of fact, fam, I'm about to tell you something that's going to make you real uncomfortable, but you know me, I'm the angry black sheep, and I don't give a fuck if you feel uncomfortable. If our justice claim ever ends up appearing before the Supreme Court of the United States, we've lost already. Time to regroup and start a new fight. If our justice claim ever ends up in the hands of those 9 justices on the motherfucking Supreme Court of the United States of America, we're done. Start a new fight. It's over. We've already lost. Because black people have forgotten about civics. Ostensibly, there's supposed to be a goddamn separation of powers in this country. You have the legislative branch, who is supposed to create law, right? You have the executive branch, i.e. the president, who's supposed to enforce the law. And then you have SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States, that's supposed to interpret the law, right? So if Congress passes a motherfucking law to give us our due, to do justice for us. If that law in any way ends up before the Supreme Court of the United States, we're already fucked. It wouldn't matter if they had 20 goddamn liberals all with, cock rings on and signs that says I'm with stupid around their neck. We're fucked. The courts were never going to be the route for us to get our due in the first place. Shout out, by the way, to Engaging Black. Since I'm here's in the house, Big Unc, I see you, fam. Welcome to the broadcast. So now that it's clear, it's absolutely clear that Trump is going to get another nominee onto the Supreme Court. What other threat do these lousy ass liberal Dems have to bash us over the head with to try to get us to vote for Jim Crow Joe Biden? Because they're not offering policy. They're not coming to us and offering us a goddamn thing. There's no day one commitments for the descendants of the enslaved here in the United States. There's not even any day 100 motherfucking commitments to us. You know how traditionally presidents say, in my first 100 days, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Niggas don't even have 100 days. In 100 days, there's no policy for you. So they're not offering us any policy to encourage us to vote for Jim Crow Joe Biden and Kamala, right? And they can't use the threat anymore of losing the Supreme Court because they will lose the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is done. Trump's nominee will be voted on by the Senate and most likely approved. So you can't use the goddamn threat of losing the Supreme Court against us now to try to get us to vote for Jim Crow Joe, for Sleepy Creepy Joe. So now what? What's the next thing? Because family, trust me, especially now that RBG is dead, you are not going to hear the fucking end of all these so-called liberal ass bastards disrespecting, berating us, chiding us, going off on us, the whole 9 yards. You don't believe me, fam? Any of y'all follow Eddie Glaude? Brother Eddie Glaude on Twitter? Man, them white liberals are reading this nigga's boots today, fam. Because Eddie Glaude had the temerity, he had the chutzpah, the unmitigated gall in 2016 to suggest that instead of voting for Hillary Rodham sniper fire super predator Clinton, that we vote down ballot. He had the temerity, the absolute fucking balls to suggest that maybe Hillary ain't the one.
Church projects aren't civic engagement. I know firsthand, Will Collin.
Right on, Engaging Black. I look forward to that, fam. Yeah, Eddie Glaude said, nope, if you black folk, you should be voting down ballot because the Dems ain't doing nothing for you at the top of the ticket. But Eddie Glaude got a problem. You see, Eddie Glaude, just like many of us Negroes, have a real deep-seated need for pats on the head from white folks. So when presented with the choice of standing on his square for the only political strategy other than abstention that is viable for black Americans, when presented with the choice of standing on his square for that, or kissing the ass of his liberal patrons, he chose the liberals. But here's something to note, family. They have not forgotten that he was a runaway. Yeah, they didn't forget that briefly Eddie was off the motherfucking grid. And so now that Trump has got a chance to put yet another justice on the Supreme Court, Eddie's getting bitch slapped. Well, yeah, Eddie, you should have thought about this before you was telling people to vote down ballot in 2016. And this right here, family, is exactly what happens when you're addicted to pats on the head and butter biscuits. If you ever once waver in your devotion to these white liberals or these white conservatives, they will never, ever let you fucking live it down. And if anything changes that they don't like, they're not going to blame the fact that they put a shitty ass candidate up there to begin with. Ain't nobody mad because Sniper Fire was just simply a shit goddamn candidate that nobody wanted. Nah, it was Eddie goddamn fault. Just like when this election comes and our numbers hopefully are lower than they've ever been for a Democratic presidential candidate, them liberals ain't gonna blame the fact that Jim Crow Joe Biden was a piece of shit scumbag who in his 8 years as VP and in all the years that he sat as a goddamn senator did nothing but try to figure out ways to hurt black people. No, it won't be because of that. It'll be because we politically immature and lazy. We didn't understand the ramifications of not voting for Jim Crow Joe Biden. So what's happening next, fam? For us, more of the same. Same shit, different toilet. Except now, sprinkled with liberal doses of a new improved, it's even more important. You saw what happened to RBG. Trump is going to change everything. Family, can we have a brief conversation about the niggerization of the United States of America? Can we have that brief conversation? That it seemed like that America is starting to finally get the smallest, little, tiniest, teeniest taste of what it's like to be a nigga here in the United States. Can we talk about that? Sitting here watching the train coming down the track while they're tied to the motherfucker and no one around to save them. The only difference between America and our situation is we didn't choose ours. They chose it. They chose Trump. Well, Trump didn't win the popular vote. He didn't have to. In America, you don't pick a president by popular vote. If nobody fucking voted, you'd still have a president on January 20th, 2021. Chosen by the Electoral College. You don't like it? Amend the Constitution. It's not like it ain't happened 30 other times before. But until then, don't nobody give a fuck about the popular vote. It's who can get them damn electoral votes. Nobody gives a fuck. I'm serious. When it comes to the motherfucking president, the popular vote ain't shit. If they disenfranchised everybody tomorrow, nobody could fucking vote for president. It still wouldn't stop them from being a president. Because that's the way the system's set up. People fucking forget that for a long time in this country, this whole idea of democracy was a goddamn joke from words say go. It wasn't until the early 20th century that popular election of senators was even a thing. Before that amendment was added to the Constitution, senators was chosen by the governors of each state. You didn't have no motherfucking say who sat in the Senate. That is, if you even had the chance to vote. America ain't never really had a love affair with democracy. Voter suppression, keeping motherfuckers from voting has been the order of the day. Which is why they continually try to put up this facade of having a choice. When the fact is this is a one-party state. A one-party state dedicated to the uplift, the maintenance, and the sustenance of kleptocrats. A one-party state that's dedicated to ensuring that the plutocrats, the oligarchs, the owners of all of us, the master class, gets it all. And fuck it if we can't take a joke. There ain't no Democrats, there ain't no Republicans. There's just the political puppets of the motherfucking uber rich who pay them. If Elon Musk got something he want to say about some shit, and you got something you want to say about some shit, and they listen to motherfucking Elon Musk, that lets you know right there that you ain't their goddamn constituency. They couldn't care less what you got the fuck to say. Quiet as it's kept, America's about to find that out in a way that is unmistakable. I remember reading a quote of a statement given by Martin Niemöller. Martin Niemöller was a preacher, a minister in the Nazi regime in Germany. After the war was over, he made a statement that was converted into kind of a prose poem. Some of you may have heard it. He said, first they came for the communists, but I didn't say anything because I'm not a communist. I'm paraphrasing. He said, then they came for the socialists, and I didn't say anything because I'm not a socialist. And he runs down this list of all the motherfuckers that the Nazis came after. And finally, he says, and then they came for me. And there was no one to say anything. No one left to say anything. In America, first they came for the Negro, for the slave, the descendants of the slaves, right? All the fuckery that you can imagine in the world was practiced on us first. Whether it's medical experimentation against our will, rape, murder, theft, brutality, disenfranchisement, degradation. All of it was done to us. First, they came for the niggas. And I didn't say anything because I ain't no nigga. Then they came after the immigrants. I didn't say anything because I ain't no motherfucking immigrant. America's about to find out what happens when you didn't say nothing when the first fuckery went down. Because now they coming for them. And I'm not here to say a motherfucking thing about it. I am not they mule. I don't have. I'm sitting back with a motherfucking ice cold drink in my house come November, laughing my motherfucking ass off. Because even if, and I doubt it, I really truly doubt that Biden gets the nod. But even if Biden gets the nod, it is simply a postponement, a very temporary postponement of the reckoning that is yet to come. We were the canaries in the coal mine, fam. We tried to tell America what the wages of injustice, what the wages.
Doing the work, OG.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate you. We tried to tell America what the wages of injustice is. We the only ones that believe in the vision of America. We tried to tell them. And they kept us as property. And then they lynched us. Then they used our labor in convict leasing, farming us out to private fucking owners. And they beat us, and they raped us, and they segregated us and locked us in the ghettos. And then when we tried to escape the ghettos, they would burn us the fuck out. And if we ever tried to build anything, they burn it down in the whole 9 yards. And then when our kids try to fly, when they try to get educated, they put them in schools that are cold in the winter, hot in the summer, with books that they can't even fucking read because the pages are torn out, with teachers that see them as fucking human. And we tried to tell them. We tried to tell them nice. We would hold up placards and ask them, aren't I a man too? We tried to appeal to their fucking humanity, saying that, hey, any injustice visited upon us today will ultimately be visited upon you tomorrow. And they did not goddamn listen. They never have listened in the whole fucking 400 years of our people being here, and they ain't listening now. So when you sow the wind, family, you reap the whirlwind. Cause and effect. You built everything in this motherfucker to fatten yourself off of injustice, off of the denial of humanity, of resources, of protection to one specific group of people in this country, and that is us, the descendants of the enslaved here in the United States of America. Everybody has been on board with this project. But now, the kleptocrats, the oligarchs, have made off with the treasury, and they still got the Fed machine printing money, fattening their pockets even more as we speak. And your political class have told you you're on your own. Stimulus? Good luck. So what does the death of RBG really mean for us, family? The answer is simple. Don't mean shit. It don't change nothing, fam. It don't change nothing about what we have to do. It don't change nothing about our justice claim and the fight that we got to have with the United States of America. It don't change nothing. Hell, RBG was only important really to Americans who want the right to kill fetuses. Mostly. I'm just keeping it a buck. I'm not going to sit here and say that my personal stance on abortion should be everybody's stance, but that's the truth of it. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a feminist fucking icon. Because she supported the right to go out here and hold it up, and if you get knocked up, you don't have to be stuck with the motherfucking brat. And they scared as fuck that the next Supreme Court justice is going to likely support the overturning of Roe v. Wade. You know, Ruth Bader Ginsburg supported Roe v. Wade on some eugenics shit. Don't take my word for it. Do the research yourself. She made statements that showed that she supports the right of women to abort because it'll better the population of Americans. Last time I checked, that was eugenics. But why would you be shocked by that? Margaret Sanger was a eugenicist. You know, the founder of Planned Parenthood? She was all for eliminating morons and idiots and niggas. You feel me? By the way, shout out to Simplify Comic Guy. And yes, rest in peace. Rest in power, our brother Chadley. Yeah, exactly. Since I'm here, Brother Kaepernick knelt to highlight the murder of our people by these motherfucking pigs. And she said, oh yeah, that's stupid. Then the white liberals reminded her that she wasn't supposed to say the quiet part out loud, and she ran it back. She was like, well, I wasn't quite informed on what was really happening, and I should have just not said anything. Because that's what passes for a fucking apology. That's what passes for accountability when you're a goddamn child of immigrants made white and sit on the Supreme Court. Fam, I'm about to drop a bomb in this motherfucker. Because what if Donald Trump nominates a black female federal judge to the Supreme Court? You know, the Dems have been trying to run that game on us that, hey, black women are going to save us. Black women are going to be the one to pull our bacon out of the fire with this Trump guy. We can count on him, young and old. So will it still be black girl magic if Donald Trump nominates a black female judge to the motherfucking Supreme Court? Will it still be black girl magic? That's what I'd like to know. Because there's quite a few black women who are federal judges, some of which are conservative leaning, who would definitely qualify to sit on the bench. What would it mean?
If she's not about reparation, then screw her.
Oh, I hear you on that one, Engaging Black. But we have to look this as a broader picture, at a broader view. I don't give a fuck who gets nominated to the Supreme Court. I already told y'all, the Supreme Court been lost to us forever in any way. It's been lost to us. But what if Donald Trump nominated and successfully got through the Senate a black female Supreme Court judge? That's right. Since I'm here, Neil Gorsuch, another so-called conservative judge on the court, has a better hiring record for hiring black clerks in his office than RBG did. But you know what would be a real shocker is if any of these liberals actually lived up to any of the shit they claim they do. That would actually be the shocker. Real talk. Because they talk a good game to us about diversity and this, that, and the third and so on and so forth. But when do you ever see them do that? When do you ever see them elevate our people to positions of high authority and power on the courts? I want to read to y'all something before I open up the phone lines, because I want to hear from y'all today. I don't want to talk about. I don't want to talk. I want to hear from y'all. This is a brother that if you're not following him on Twitter, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. You fucked up, right? But this is Brother Alexander Hamilton. Some of you know him. He used to call in regularly to Sister Yvette's broadcast on YouTube. And the brother was fired. This is a series of tweets by him. We'll go through them. We'll read them. This thread is titled Ego Before Country. For those who are new to following me, I've been writing about the irresponsibility of Justice Ginsburg's refusal to resign on Obama's watch for some time. I compared her refusal to Thurgood Marshall resigning too soon, which cleared the way for Clarence Thomas to rise to the Supreme Court. Pause. Now I know what you're thinking. Who the fuck is Alexander? Like, who is this Alexander cat? Like, why should I listen to him? Well, let's see here. Our brother is a doctor of divinity, so he's a minister and he's an attorney and a lawyer. He's been to law school and he's a minister. Alexander is a cold brother who knows what the fuck he's talking about. Don't worry, he'll provide the receipts. He'll provide the receipts further down in the tweets. I continue. Both of them allowed ego and selfishness to undermine everything they fought for their entire lives. The rule of the Supreme Court game is never die or resign under the wrong president. If you think I'm off kilter, consider the fact that Chief Justice William Rehnquist, sorry about that fam, refused to resign the Supreme Court on President Clinton's watch despite the fact that he had stage 4 cancer. Yet, not only did he stay on the bench, but he made it all the way to step out of the hospital bed to swear in President George Walker Bush. Are you paying attention, fam? The name of the game politically on the Supreme Court is to never ever fucking leave it under the wrong goddamn president. If you lean conservative, you want to make sure that when you either retire or shuffle off the mortal coil, that you do that during the administration of a motherfucking Republican or right-wing leaning president. So you can be assured that whoever it is who replaces you matches you ideologically. Let me continue. Contrast that to Thurgood Marshall, who also faced serious health challenges. He resigned on Herbert Walker Bush's watch. Put simply, Rehnquist was willing to die for what Marshall was not. Brutal assessment? Yes, and I do not state that lightly, as Thurgood Marshall was one of my major inspirations for attending law school. In other words, Brother Alexander said, hey, I can recognize that the man inspired me, but he fucked up. Thurgood Marshall made it possible under the wrong president to appoint somebody to the motherfucking Supreme Court who ideologically don't match him. Let me continue. However, he should have died in that seat. White supremacy don't stop. And by refusing to die in that seat, he opened the door for a man who embodies the complete opposite of everything he fought for. Supreme Court seats don't come around often. Thurgood Marshall just might have set the centurial fight back for justice back decades by resigning and clearing the way for Clarence Thomas. Thurgood Marshall leaving the motherfucking court due to his health issues, instead of sitting there and dying in that seat, paved the way for Clarence Thomas's appointment to the motherfucking court. And what we have seen since the appointment of Clarence Thomas to the court is a continuing rolling back, first of affirmative action, then a blunting of the motherfucking Voting Rights Act, and now the gutting of the motherfucking Civil Rights Act of 1866, and so on and so on and so on. It was Thurgood Marshall being unwilling to make them motherfuckers fight for that seat for us, who paved the motherfucking way for the goddamn Supreme Court to be taken away from us. We lost the Supreme Court a long motherfucking time ago, fam. These white liberals come at you and they talk about we gotta make sure we vote Biden because if we don't, we're gonna lose the Supreme Court. Nigga, we done lost the court. And we lost the court because we didn't have any justices there with enough backbone to fucking bargain for the seat. Do you know that RBG actually had a last request? Like somehow or another, she could pick her successor for her Supreme Court seat. Think about the goddamn temerity, the gall it takes for her to think that she has a say in who the fuck takes her spot when she goes. But think about the mental shift, the mindset it takes to be RBG and how completely fucking weak-willed Thurgood Marshall was to not demand the same. Real talk, my nigga, you must be willing to die for this. Now let's flip to the other side. Justice Ginsburg had another problem, ego. Due to her rapidly declining health, several colleagues close to her and members of the Obama administration begged Justice Ginsburg to step down under Obama so he could choose a competent successor. He was even willing to give her input because, you know, he's the motherfucking, the goddamn negotiator in chief, the bipartisan, you know, panderer in chief. He ain't met a motherfucker he wasn't willing to give something up to. He was even going to let her have a pick, a say, in who was going to take her seat. She refused and said that it was sexist of them, that they just don't want a strong woman on the bench. You know, yes, queen, like Pelosi. You know what I'm saying? Now, they just hate Pelosi because she's a strong woman in a field where men dominate. Yes, queen. She's the notorious RBG. Bitches, you ain't know. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. I'll finish the statement for him. This is why you can't have people filled with emotion in the room when serious decisions are being made, because they will always respond out of emotion versus reason. This is my problem, he says, with the black electorate. We routinely allow white folks to manipulate us emotionally. Fam, to show you the truth of this statement, like I said, people have been going in on brother Eddie Glaude. White folks have been giving him some shade over his decision to vote down ballot in 2016. But you know who's been going in on the brother the hardest? Black folk. These white liberal black pets. These black liberals who support everything white liberals support, who get mad when white liberals get mad, have been the ones going in on Eddie Glaude the worst. Because, like I said, when you're chasing white acceptance, when you're looking for respectability in the eyes of white folk, when white folk get mad, the only reasonable thing to do is to get even more mad. If white folks is upset about something, Negro pets gotta be big mad. And so they are eating that brother's lunch on behalf of their beloved liberal white folks. You don't believe me, fam? If you want, pop a one in the chat if you want me to pull up Eddie's thread on Twitter. I'll show you. I'll show you the receipts. Black face after black face after black face saying shit to this man that I'm going to keep it real with you. If it wasn't Twitter and they was face to face on the street, somebody would be swinging. It'd be fucking fist swinging and flower bringing. And this is niggas. Because the white folks is mad. Playing to a religious virtue programmed into our psychological hard drives always causes us to vote in white liberal interests. Pause. Playing to a religious virtue programmed into our psychological hard drives always causes us to vote in white liberal interests. You know, it's not just about racism. White people get screwed too. It's about how poor you are. Going there and voting white people's interests. Well, you know, the Lord say that vengeance is mine, I shall repay. And you go in there and cast another ballot in white liberals' interests. If the white men, you know, demand your coat, you give him your coat and give him your shirt too. Punch another ballot in white liberals' interests. So now that RBG has gone the way of the dinosaur, all those on the Democratic side of the aisle are throwing Mitch McConnell's words back at him that the American people should decide the fate of Ginsburg's seat. Just like they was able to convince con man Barack Hussein Obama back in 2015 that, hey, don't appoint a new justice. Let the American people decide. Now the Democrats are like, oh, yeah, let the American people decide. Don't elect anybody. Don't nominate anybody for that seat. Brother Alexander said, bullshit. This ain't kickball. He said Mitch McConnell about to ram that Senate vote through like Ron Jeremy breaking in a virgin in a 1970 porn set. And unlike Ron Jeremy, Mitch won't go to jail for it. They'll give him an award and call him a patriot. And you're goddamn right, that's the facts. You can hate Mitch McConnell all the fuck you want. But it's the moment that Donald Trump sends his nominee over to the Senate and the Senate approves that nomination, all America can do is get mad and scratch their ass until they get glad. That's it, and that's all. And guess what? The Republican base, the ultra-conservative base, the motherfucking rich plutocrats and goddamn kleptocrats that support the Republicans are going to sit there and clap with resounding applause. You ask how, black man? How is simple. Donald Trump is the sitting president. He has the right to nominate anybody he wants to the Supreme Court. Oh, it's really going to fuck y'all up when I tell you what else could happen. But let's continue with the brother's tweet. He said, I don't want to hear a damn thing about McConnell's hypocrisy or the so-called stealing the Supreme Court seat argument. Riddle me this. What was going on in the Senate when Justice Scalia died? Nothing. The Senate was in recess. Obama could have made a recess appointment. Pause. He is absolutely right. So when Justice Antonin Scalia died, right, and his seat became vacant, the Senate was in recess, right? They weren't active. They couldn't do any legislating, any approving of nominations in the whole 9 yards, right? All Barack Obama had to do was just pick a motherfucking judge and say, I choose you. Like Pokemon. Like, I choose Mew, right? And throw that motherfucker out there. And nobody could have said shit. Fam, this is the law. I wish I was making this shit up. Barack Obama could have just simply said, this is who the fuck I want sitting on the Supreme Court. And it was done. Nobody would have been able to gainsay a fucking thing. All they could have done was got mad. To show you how much he gave a fuck about ensuring the ideological bent of the Supreme Court. He could have just simply nominated. He didn't even have to nominate nobody. A recess appointment means you don't have to consult with the Senate. Now, the rules is that once the Senate comes into a new session, then the president has to formally nominate that person and have that nomination go before the Senate. But in the interim, whoever it is that is the recess appointment will be de facto and de jure, meaning by law as well as by custom, that newest Supreme Court justice. I got so sick, fam. Just a sidebar before I continue. I got so sick of niggas telling me, man, Barack, he wants to do so much for us, but he's just hamstrung by the Republicans. You know, they just blocking everything and he wants it. Bullshit. Because, fam, when he had the opportunity to do something that could have benefited anybody, he dithered. He said, well, you know, that's not how America works. He couldn't wait to run to a table to negotiate away his advantage. Barack Obama was one of the most pussy-ass presidents we ever had in the history of the United States of America. How else do you explain a motherfucker who couldn't get nothing done when he was first elected, that had the House, the Senate, and a Supreme Court that was favorable to any shit that might get challenged, that he was able to get through the House and Senate, and he's the most powerful motherfucker in the land, and still couldn't accomplish shit? That's a bitch ass nigga, man. I continue. But he did not do that. Why? Because like most black men thoroughly indoctrinated and propped up by white liberals, Barack Obama is a castrated Kenyan who lacks the testicular fortitude to lead. Full stop. When you're beholden to acceptance from white liberals, it's impossible for you to lead. It doesn't matter what title you have. This man was the most powerful man in the free world. But because he was beholden to the acceptance of his white liberal benefactors, it was impossible for him to lead. Because leadership requires that sometimes you pull the trigger and not give a good goddamn who fucking likes it or not. Y'all remember when W said, yeah, about this whole Iraq thing. Look, I'm the president, I'm the decider, and I don't give a fuck if you like it. We going over there. We're going in. With millions of people protesting in the streets. W didn't give a fuck. Now, did you like it? Nope, you didn't like it. You didn't like it at all. You were out there protesting. Occupy Wall Street started under Shrub. People were mad as fuck. You think he gave a fuck? No. Because he said, somebody got to lead this motherfucker. Since it's me, I'm doing it. You never heard that from Barack Obama. You always heard this motherfucker trying to reach out the hand of love. Always trying to link up with motherfuckers. Always trying to make sure that, you know, we don't piss off this motherfucker or piss off that motherfucker. Never mind us, right? Because remember, he told us it's okay for us to stay on the bottom. But everybody else, Barack Obama doing this. How the fuck you gonna lead? And you too busy juggling. Trump don't give a fuck about no protesters. Trump don't give a fuck about no protesters. None of these presidents seem to give a fuck about any protesters. Biden definitely ain't gonna give a fuck about no protesters. Shit, Trump showed him the way. You pissed Biden off too bad. Kamala's not gonna have no problem with sending in the National Guard to smoke you motherfuckers out. Herein lies the inherent problem with Obama's hyper-bipartisanship philosophy. Newsflash, Bipartisanship is not leadership. I'll say that again for the people in the cheap seats. Bipartisanship is not leadership. Joe Biden is running on a campaign right now, fam, that consists of two things. Just two. One, I'm not Donald Trump. And number two, I can work with anybody. Republicans, Democrats, libertarians, gay, straight. He ain't got no fucking principles he's willing to stand on politically. If it'll further his goals of staying in power, Jim Crow Joe Biden will literally work with anybody. He worked with Robert Byrd, a rabid fucking segregationist. He worked with Strom Thurmond. That's been his MO since he's been in fucking politics. Why do you think Barack Obama chose Jim Crow Joe Biden as his running mate? You had two motherfuckers with no goddamn spine, no principles, willing to bend over and trade ass and do reach arounds and be bipartisan and all this and that, who took pride in, okay, you stroke mine, okay, now I'll stroke yours. That ain't leadership. Alexander goes on to say, Obama never thoroughly grasped the depth of white supremacy in this country. And he really thought that he could work across the aisle with people who viewed him as nothing more than a nigger unfit to occupy the White House, unquote. Why do you think we've been catching so much hell since 2016? Why we still struggling to get jobs? Because of the backlash. After putting up with 8 years of Barack Obama, he ain't even us. He just looked like us. America willing to give us the motherfucking lash for him. They never viewed him as anybody. And he never gave them a reason to view him as anybody or anything. Barack Obama was every woman's man and every man's woman. When you end up trying to be everything to everybody, you end up being nothing to nobody. When you're trying to be everything to everybody, fam, you end up being nothing to nobody. Barack Obama wasn't worth the fucking shit to us and wasn't worth the shit to nobody. Alexander continues. Thus, he refused to make a recess appointment of Merrick Garland under some Michelle Obama when they go low, we go high bullshit. Nonsense. DJ, cue that song. How Low Can You Go is the only song to be danced to in politics. If you ain't willing to go as low as the other side, you can't win. Everybody talking about how dirty and how hypocritical and all of that Mitch McConnell is. Wouldn't it be nice to have some motherfucking Democrats in there who could get just as grimy, just as dirty, except for the motherfucking plutocrats and the kleptocrats and the oligarchs get that dirty for you and for me? Wouldn't it be nice if you had some motherfuckers in there willing to go gangster with that political shit for you? I'm not going to sit here and knock Mitch McConnell because his party has the power and lo and behold, they're not fucking afraid to use it, to dominate, to lead. That's what the fuck politics is. Meanwhile, we hitched our star to a bunch of bitch-ass motherfuckers who couldn't fight their way out of a wet paper bag, who's sitting here now crying, talking about how unfair it is that Trump is going to try to push through a nomination during the election season. I say sucks to be you. You hate to see it. Cry more, bitches. I'm supposed to be mad at Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump for doing what's in their power to do, when that's what the fuck is in their power to do. And instead, we should be mad at these lousy-ass Democrats that we've wasted decades of political capital on because they talk nice and come to our dances and our parades and they carry bottles of hot sauce and they do the fucking wobble and they sit down with Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion or whoever the fuck else they want to talk to, but never no goddamn doctors, no economists, no lawyers, no people who design legislation. Why is it everybody else's fault that we hitched our star to a bunch of bitch-ass motherfuckers? So Mitch McConnell, I continue, did as all good white men do when they enter a room with a black face. He gave orders to Barack Obama. Hear ye, hear ye. There will be no Supreme Court vote until after the election. Obama, like the nutless Negro he was, said, oh, okay, Massa Mitch. So he had a chance to do a recess appointment of Merrick Garland if he really wanted him, but refused to do that. And then on top of that, Moscow Mitch, right, the turtle, said, oh, no. We need to let the American people decide. And Barack Obama was like, oh, yeah, that sounds good, Marcia Mitch. You so smart, Marcia Mitch. I swear, I was a dumb nigga. I never thought to do. Stop us if we lying. Mitch McConnell told the motherfucking president that now we're not gonna do no nominating of no Supreme Court justice to replace Antonin Scalia. No, we good. And Barack Obama said, oh, okay. He was a motherfucking lame duck president, fam. Barack Obama could have said, suck my dick. I'm about to go to America and I'm about to act a plumb motherfucking fool until y'all agree to hear my motherfucking nomination of Merrick Garland. Watch me. But he wasn't about to go up against no white man like that. Marcia Mitch said no, so that means no, y'all. I'm sorry. In that moment, we needed shaft. But instead, we got shafted. This is Brother Hamilton's question, but this is also mine, family. And this also should be yours. Name me a moment in Obama's presidency where it ever felt like he was actually running shit. You always got this sense that he was nothing more than a puppet for white liberals who were playing a game that was way over his head. When in any time during Barack Obama's 8 years in office, did you ever feel comfortable that he was in charge, that he was large and in charge, that he was the boss of the game, the capo di tutti capo? He was running this shit. When did you ever, in 8 fucking years, ever feel like Barack Obama was the man? I'll wait. Half of you Negroes was scared that he was going to get assassinated during his first 4 years. In the last 4 years, he was just basically trying to ride his laurels and look after his legacy and pad his pockets. When in any of those 8 years did you ever feel like that Barack was the man? Other than when you saw him playing on a basketball court, or when he was, wearing a three-piece with Jay-Z and Beyonce or some shit. When did you ever see this motherfucker and think, man, this dude is on top of this motherfucking presidential game? Black people always, if we were being honest, we always felt like that this nigga was one misstep away from being thrown the fuck out on his ass. I never felt for a minute that Barack Obama was running a goddamn thing but his mouth. I'll skip this part about Brian Wright, but as you can see here, he talks about Condoleezza. Nevertheless, Obama was a horrible leader on so many levels, which brings me to this stinging indictment. Donald Trump is a better leader than Barack Obama. Brother Hamilton said Donald Trump is a better leader than Barack Obama. Now, I know some of y'all are about to say, nope, I'm about to throw something at this motherfucking screen. I'm about to throw this phone across the room. This nigga tripping. Don't worry. The brother gives his measurements as to how he's able to make this distinction. He said, and I quote, he said, leadership is not about whether you agree with what a person is doing. Leadership is about come hell or high water, you do what your people elected you to do. He says, second riddle. Read this question very carefully, and I need brutal honesty. Who has done more for the people that supported him the most? Obama or Trump? Let's be honest, fam. Let's get out our feelings. Let's just do the calculus. Who has done more for the people who supported them the most? Barack Obama or Donald Trump? This question, fam, is of paramount importance. Because politically speaking, we can't move forward as long as we're under the Svengali-like haze of Obamaism, where we're still addicted to political swag instead of political power. Trump ain't elegant. If Trump want to talk about Mexicans coming up here and raping women and stealing jobs and fucking people over, he just gonna say it. He ain't elegant. He don't pretty that shit up for you. If Trump want to talk about poor ass motherfuckers, mostly black people, taking over your white ass neighborhood, he just says that shit. He ain't polished. He don't have that, vaunted Harvard law degree, sonorous cadences learned at the foot of the best black ministers in the country. He just says that shit. But who has done more for the people that support him? Donald Trump or Barack Obama? The people that supported Barack Obama the most was us, the black descendants of the enslaved. We voted for Barack Obama at what, 90 some odd percent the first time, and it was like 96% or some 94, 96% his first election, and like 92% his second election. Almost every black ballot cast in this country was for Barack Obama for president, both terms. And when Emmett Williams sits Barack Obama down and says, hey, why don't you offer something specifically to African Americans to say, this is for you. If there's a banking crisis, you'd offer something to the banks. If there's a housing crisis, you offer something to help people keep their house. And Barack Obama sits there and stutters and says, wait. That's not how America works. We supported his ass in record numbers, unlike any other president in the United States of America. And he did jack fuck all for us. But Trump's base can't say that. Brother Hamilton goes on to say, I need you to get this. A person that talks good but lacks courage can never be a good leader. Obama gave great speeches. Trump doesn't give a shit. Mitch don't give a shit. They do what the fuck their base wants them to do, and they don't give a fuck how you feel about it. Trump don't give a fuck about your feelings, fam. Trump don't give a fuck if you break out in protest in the streets or if you break out in song. Mitch McConnell don't give a fuck either. They got the power, so they gonna do what the fuck they want to do. That's politics. He said, wouldn't it be nice if you had someone that gangster fighting for you? Imagine what the country would look like if Barack Obama and other Democrats were that gung-ho for reparations in the first 2 years of his administration when they had both the House and the motherfucking Senate. Imagine that. Imagine if Barack Obama's DOJ actually brought civil rights charges against every white police officer who killed a black person on his watch. Yeah, imagine that. Instead of him calling us thugs because we righteously upset and pissed off and signing Blue Lives Matter legislation. Imagine that. Imagine if Barack Obama gave you $600 extra stimulus payments. Imagine if Barack Obama had bailed you out rather than Wall Street. Yeah, imagine that shit. Brother Hamilton said, I could go on and on and on down the line about how Obama was a fucked up, shitty ass leader. He never drove policy and his voice was never the loudest in the room. But Trump ain't like that. Trump is always the loudest motherfucker in the room, and he drives every goddamn thing that gets said or done in his administration, whether it's good or bad, even if it's mostly bad. He said, and by the way, don't be trying to do the dodge talking about Obamacare. He said, because look at Obamacare. He said, look at healthcare nowadays. He said, if you have healthcare, your premiums have skyrocketed through the roof, and the pharmaceutical companies are now worth billions with skyrocketing profits under the ACA. So we can't even say Barack Obama's feature motherfucking legislation was any good for America. So here we are, family. This is where we at. Trump is about to get another Supreme Court pick because one woman's ego led her to do what was best for her and not what's best for the country. Ginsburg is not worthy of being called the Biggie Smalls moniker because if Trump gets his way, she will no longer be notorious but infamous. And I say, well, you hate to see it. Trump's already announced, fam. By the way, shout out to everybody. I gave a shout out to Charles 91771's in the house. Sister Strongfly, I didn't really greet you. He's worthy. I appreciate you, fam. Zulu Black. Fam, Trump is going to push through another Supreme Court justice. You are about to get bombarded by every white motherfucker you know. I promise you that. White people you didn't even know followed you on social media. White folks who never had a word to say to you otherwise are going to be blowing up your phone, jumping into your mentions, hitting you up on your DMs. It's more important than ever that we support Joe Biden. I want you to understand one thing. We don't owe these motherfuckers nothing. We don't owe them shit. Marianne Williams said out here trying to get us to suck Biden's dick. AOC here out here trying to get us to suck Biden's dick. Bernie the sheepdog Sanders been trying to get us to suck Biden's dick. We don't owe them shit. if there's gonna be some nigga shit, I say we all experience it. No justice for me, no justice for you. No resources for me and mine, no resources for you. No real choice at the ballot for me, no real choice at the ballot for you. This shit is simple, fam. Like Zulu Black said, it's simple math. No policy, no tangibles, no specifics, no substance, no vote. That doesn't change whether or not we lose 20 goddamn Supreme Court justices. I wouldn't give a fuck. The equation remains the same. No justice, no tangibles, no specifics, no policy, no remediation, no restoration, no repair, no motherfucking vote. Let them cry. Let these motherfucking liberals cry. Let their tears, fam, sustain your soul. Let that shit wash over you like a soothing balm. Just be like, ooh. Do me a favor, cry just a little bit more over here on the right side. My shoulder is like, you know what I'm saying? I got my rheumatiz is acting up. Good riddance to RBG. 425-296-1980 is the number, fam. I want to hear from you. We done with RBG. She's gone. Fuck her. We don't care. Right? We need to talk about what's going to happen next and how y'all feel about that. Where you at with Donald Trump and company just nominating another motherfucking Supreme Court justice? Just willy-nilly in the middle of an election. How you feel about that? Are you like me where you just like... or do you feel some kind of way about it? 425-296-1980 is the number. I know Engaging Black said they were going to call in, so first come, first serve. I take one call at a time. So, yeah, family. These motherfuckers are doing the complete extra. Hey, what's up, black man? Talk to me, fam. Brother Black Man, can you hear me? Damn it. I wonder if this shit's acting up again. Y'all know how every time we have a good ass topic, shit acts screwy. Let me go ahead and close out Skype and reopen it. See if we can get it going back again here, fam. Give me just a moment. I appreciate it. Of course, when the call came in, Skype crashed everything. Sick of this shit. I'm about to try to find a new way. Nah, fam, I couldn't hear you. Go ahead and give me a call back. I'm going to see if it's working fine now. But yeah, that's his job, Alma. Why would anybody be butthurt about Trump actually doing something for a change? Trust me, we got plenty of motherfucking reason to be mad at that fool. Hey, brother Black Man, can you hear me, fam? Damn it, why am I not able to hear you? Hold on just a second. Brother Black Man, talk to me, fam.
I'm here.
Okay, there we go, fam. Sorry, I just had to make change to some settings, man. Thank you for calling into the broadcast, bro. What's on your mind, man?
But I wanted to say the last thing you sit there and said a minute ago, this is the phone and stuff. I lost my train of thought. But your points on what's the last thing you sit there and said? Gosh, talking this phone makes me up. I had right on the tip of my tongue too. Oh my gosh, you have made so many good points tonight.
Hey, I appreciate that, fam. I wanted us to do our usual analysis whenever there's any motherfucker, change in circumstance. Because what turns out to be, this world-shaking, world-breaking change for everybody else don't seem to really affect us all that much. Just like the death of RBG don't mean shit to us.
Well, hold on, man. You had sit there and said, "Gosh, dang, I want to comment on." It was such a valid point of what we do and what we go through. Dang it. I gotta start writing notes down when I talk.
Fam, I told you to bring your notepad, man. You and me, we getting old. And I'll be going off the top of the dome. So, hey, I'm gonna let you know a little secret, Black man. Every broadcast I rewatch. Because because I do this with no notes. This is all information that I just go off of the top of my dome. When I provide y'all with information and stuff like that, I study this shit before I do a broadcast. And then I deliver it to you. But I learn stuff even from my own broadcast, man.
Wow, okay, I didn't know that. But you had made such a point just a minute ago, and I forgot because the phones were messing up, but it was right on the tip of my tongue. That's why I called him first, because, nobody likes to let everybody go through it. I'll be last, ain't no big deal. But, you said something earlier about the books in class, and I can remember, I told you before, I think, that my uncle, when he was in school, when he would get his books, and my dad and all my aunts and uncles and stuff, when they would get their books, they would sit there and say, hi, nigger, or nigger, hope you fail, and the pages were ripped out, and the whole nine, right?
Oh, yeah, I remember even when I went to school. Right? Even when I was going to school.
That's what I was about to tell you. I can remember being in school.
And my books were written in and shit.
They were used books, and I can remember now, you know how you have repressed memories? I can remember now with the big red eraser, erasing stuff. Mm-hmm. I can remember saying, Miss Thompson, I don't have a page 13, 14, 16. Well, go over there with Henry and go and read with him.
Absolutely. Fam, Papa one in the chat. If you went to school and your books were so bad that your teacher had photocopied pages that she knew y'all was likely to be missing out of y'all's books and handed it out as a handout. Did you ever have that happen to you, Black man?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, wow, I'm really not remembering. Well, the older you get, like you said, the more you forget. But, that was some kind of repressed memory stuff, because I was like, wow, I can remember that now. Mm-hmm. Now I remember the big red eraser.
Yep.
Scrubbing that stuff out and, wiping it off in the classroom. But not really understanding those were like second, third, fourth edition books.
Wait a minute, fam. It got worse, because you remember at the end of the year, we'd have to turn in all our books. And what they would do, they wouldn't throw them books out. They'd stack them up in a corner to hand out to the next class next year.
You always remember you signed the front of your book, and it said, hey, I had your book last year. Hey, I had your book last year.
Yep.
The front and the back were new, but the inserts weren't. The inside of the book wasn't. Just the back and the front were new when they sent it to you. And you have names of students in the books. And the name of the student was who had it before you. And you say, hey, I had your book last year, and a whole nine. So that was like reminding me, I forgot about all of that. I did not even realize I went through that trauma because it was so daily. You know what I'm saying?
You know what's real crazy is that we like to make idols of these Supreme Court justices, right? They talk about Thurgood Marshall, but let's talk about Thurgood Marshall for a minute, because when Brown v. Board made it up to the Supreme Court, Brown v. Board initially wasn't about integrating schools together. Brown v. Board was arguing.
It was just about making it equal.
Exactly. It was saying that the separate but equal doctrine that was upheld under Plessy v. Ferguson was fucking us up. That we were separate, but we were unequal. White kids had way more toward their education than black kids. Right. We weren't arguing against the separateness. We were arguing against the inequality. But Thurgood Marshall, in conjunction with the NAACP, turn the case from a case of ensuring that we got our hands and our access to resources, turning it into a motherfucking case where we now had to go and be bussed all the way across the motherfucking city to go to school with little white kids.
But that was the whole thing for them. They already knew. So when you have these meetings and stuff, when you have a school board meeting, I don't know if you've ever been to one, if anybody else has been to one. But when you go to a school board meeting, it's about strategy, right? So the strategy was, hey, we're going to make them wake up at 4:30 in the morning, or 5:30 in the morning, and bust them from there to here. And we will teach them so shittily, we will fuck their heads up so bad over here with the white administration, that we'll still win with our white kids. It was never a thing about putting black teachers in place, black principals in place, or black teachers who were men in place. It was all about making sure that other white folks still had the control over the black folks' mind and your literacy and your graduation rate.
Exactly.
That's all it was.
That was what it was all about. Meanwhile, the white kids that could afford it, not just in the South, by the way, this was all over the motherfucking country. The white kids and their families that could afford it simply moved their kids to private schools. And they took their resources out of the public school system. So you had a combination after Brown v. Board, after the schools were ordered to desegregate. You set the grounds for white flight, meaning that whereas white people and black people lived in the same city, so that they paid taxes there in the city since they had it, and we were able to try to get some of that money, you see what I'm saying, to be able to direct towards our resources, our needs, and so on and so forth. The white folks moved to the motherfucking suburbs and the exurbs, and they took the tax base along with them. And since school funding in this country isn't handled on the federal level, it's handled through property taxes and the valuation of property in any given jurisdiction. When the white folks took their money and their property and ran to the motherfucking suburbs, they left us there with nothing for schools.
And I can remember, I told you this before, and I'll say it because I don't know who's new and who's not, but I can remember, my daughter was in school in fourth grade, so I can't remember. But she told me the story after she graduated. She never told me the stories while she was in school. She told me after she graduated. Mm-hmm. And the teacher asked her,
I'm going to grab a drink, fam. Keep talking.
So she had asked my daughter to come out the room. And there was another teacher out there standing by. And the teacher said, what's after 3? And she said 4. And the teacher looked at her. The other one who was standing out there with her looked at her and said, what? She said, what's after 3? She said 4. And the girl said, and the other teacher said, you ain't supposed to say that. You're supposed to say so. Like, what the fuck? I didn't know this till after she graduated. She never told me the story. But if I had known the story beforehand, oh, come on.
Fam, you know how many of our students, our babies, are bearing traumas from their education? How many?
We catch it from both sides. So this is what I hear. We catch it from both sides. If you sit there and you're talking too good or too clean in the black circles, oh, you talk white. And then if you talk like that in the white circles, you ain't supposed to be talking like that. I just so you talk white, you don't talk black. What is talking got to do with anything about anything in our conversation? That's my whole thing. Whatever I told my kids, your conversation should not be, manipulated by them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That frustrates me so bad when they sit there and say that, because when I grew up, and I was born and raised. I should say that. Excuse me. I was born in California, right? Until I was 15 years old. Then I moved to Texas. And it's so hard for me to go back to Cali now because I can't have the same things that I have here in Texas. Like, in Texas, you can walk around with a bat in your car, brass knuckles, knives, guns, and it's legal. And my family is telling me, hey, y'all, you need to come back to Cali and visit everybody, this, and the third. But I'm sitting there saying, y'all, I can't be comfortable down there because of, it's just not what I'm used to anymore.
Yep.
And
You can't defend yourself in Cali. You get caught armed down there, you gonna get gunned down.
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna say. Like, Stephon Clark. I told you Stephon Clark was my cousin's. My cousin used to call him brother cousin or brother something. I don't know what it was. But Stephon Clark. Yeah, my cousin knew him on a strict level of seeing him all the time. And he was a dude who went to police lives matter protests. And what they do to him, they gun his ass down because he was the hog in the field.
Yep.
So, but the other thing you sit there and said earlier about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a liberal feminist bitch. Let me emphasize that one more time. Bitch. Because when you do something that doesn't benefit the next generation, you're a selfish ass bitch. That's all you are.
Yep.
There's no different from Mr. Big Troubles. Big Troubles. I didn't agree with his policy. I didn't agree with nothing he said. But you know what? He never set somebody in his place to make sure you're going to be the next me when I go.
Thank you. You know what? We could have forgave John Lewis pretty much anything. Let's be honest about it, right? We're the most forgiving, political demo in this country. If John Lewis had just said, "I'm stepping down, here's who I groomed," and it was another black face, black folk would have been happier than Skippy eating peanut butter. Right. You know it and I know it. We'd have been like, "That's right, Brother John. Thank you for bringing the next generation up to bat." We'd have that nigga's legacy would have been locked in.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. In terms of when you leave, like okay, when you sit there and say what you left behind, it's not bragging. It's saying what you've done in your lifetime, right?
Right.
All right. So here, where I live, right? I told my kids all the time, whatever they did, I said, I can't tell you anything else. The only thing I know that I'm doing with y'all is raising champions. I don't know what else to tell you. But Dad, I want a kid. Quit. You can't. You're a champion. I'm giving you this. I'm telling you this. So I got kids who have won state relays, and all that kind of stuff. So trophies everywhere in the school or whatever, right?
Right.
But you go back and look at that, and that's what I'm raising. I'm not raising Andrew Gillum. That was oh my gosh, and then you got this Roland Martin is trying to champion this dude as he made a mistake. This dude is full with meth and prostitution and cheating on his wife and embarrassing.
Pause. You right about the prostitution and about the meth. You're wrong about him cheating on his wife. You must didn't see the interview.
No. Hold on. This wasn't like cheating on your wife. If my wife says I can go swing, we're still cheating. It doesn't matter to me.
Well, that's. I'll be honest with you. That's an uncommon interpretation because if a I'm not saying you're wrong, fam. You're entitled to think about that the way you think about it, right? I don't have no plex about it. But what I am saying is that if she knew, like, what the fuck else does anybody else got to say on it? Like, we have our own opinions about what we think he did, what we, the drugs and, the butt punching and all that other shit. That's, I'm just saying, I don't have no slight against him because he's bisexual or whatever the case may be. My only beef with Andrew Gillum is his politics. I don't give a fuck about his politics. He's a Democrat. I don't support no Democrats.
But this is my thing, though. But this what holds to me, though, from my point of view, right? If I'm trying to do something in this city and I need the mayor's approval, well, I got to get my ass to the mayor to get his approval. That's simple. That's simple logic. Come on. I mean, you want that project? Yeah, I'll give you that project. You let me see that booty because you are cute to me, boy. I don't want that kind of stuff. I don't want that kind of stuff going down with a man or a woman. That's
man, you wilding out, but I feel you. I mean, at the end of the day, You know what I'm saying? We gotta have people. Okay, part of the reason, and I'll keep it a full ass buck. Part of the reason why people don't like ADOS advocates and proponents is because of their unapologetic nature. If they offend you, they don't give a fuck if they offend you, right? Like when I speak about the political needs of my people, I don't give a fuck who's offended, right? White folks are welcome to come to listen to my broadcast. They're welcome to call in and participate. But I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to my people about our interests. If they don't like what we talking about, go the fuck elsewhere. You have advocacy that speaks for you. You got politicians that'll represent you. You got motherfuckers who promise day one to do something for you when they get elected into office. We don't have that.
Nope.
So what we gotta be is we gotta be at the point where the I don't give a fuck meter is off the charts. If they're not doing for us, if they're not speaking for us in our interests specifically, I don't understand what language they're talking. They might sound like they're speaking English, but I hear the Peanuts teacher. Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah. Yep.
Right now, fam, y'all need to turn y'all's peanut teacher voice on when these white liberals start coming at y'all talking about it's more important than ever to vote for Jim Crow Joe Biden. All you need to be hearing is wah, 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 wah. That shit shouldn't even sound like English to you. Because they made it clear you get no policy, you get no agenda, no policy, no specifics, no tangibles, no nothing. So what else do we have to discuss?
You said, what's the two things you said there? Said he was just his two election issues were to get Trump out, and what was the other one?
To get Trump out of office and to make sure we protect the courts.
Yeah,
like the courts doing anything for black people.
That's the third one. I'll pick the woman of color. I'm a strong man. I'll pick the woman of color. It's all BS at the end of the day. It's just garbage. This guy, he told you. I asked him and tweeted that one day. And you know, Twitter just messes me up sometimes. I gotta listen.
I need to get you a Twitter class, fam. You be going through it.
But he said there said, unlike UNLIKE, the black people, they have a rich history.
Yeah, unlike black people, Hispanics are diverse.
Yeah, if you were a black person of ADOS descent and you heard this, you should have been like, I'm done. And before I was trying to listen, I was trying to be a good guy. Let me listen, let me try to do the right thing. After that, I was done. I was out, I was cut off.
I don't know why you trying to be nice. Man, look, I wake up in the morning looking for opportunities to ruin some motherfucking body's breakfast. I'm done being nice to these motherfuckers. I'm a member of the only political demo that neither party is promising a motherfucking thing for. If I make your motherfucking day miserable, that shit makes me happy.
Right. I told you, your laugh was evil today. You was off point. Your laugh was like diabolical. Like, God,
I'm serious to the motherfucker, man.
Goddamn Joker, man. He was like, wow, dude, is like, so, but the other parts of the conversation that brings to me is that I am not going to not look at the Green Party and what they offer. All right. At this point. I'm really, really trying to come to that substantial point where I can say this might be a viable thing. And you know, I'm a member of NAACP.
Mm-hmm.
I did that last year, and I'm really, really going to try to bring that idea to them. We got a meeting next Friday, I think. I think it's next Friday. And I'm really going to try to bring that idea and say, hey, this is not for us. None of this is for us. And
Brother Black Man, did Did you coordinate with Brother Travis on that Unity Walk, the Second Amendment Unity?
Yeah, I sent my email about going down to Austin and doing a thing with the. Yeah, I sent my email.
Okay, good. I wanted to remind you because I know you were interested in that, and I wanted to just make sure I reminded you.
No, I'm interested, but interested in doing is two different things.
True that. But you're a grown ass man. All I can do is present you the information, fam. It's up to you to take that hook and bite on it. If you interested, make that crack. But I just wanted to remind you of your interest and to inquire. So yeah, you good, fam.
Yeah. So my thing was that the point that you had made about the lost my train of thought again. You were sitting there saying earlier about the being a part of it all, or being representative of what he did. But I think he tried. All right, so Joe Biden, to me, right, he brings this thing of this Scranton hard back working coal mine thing, right?
Yeah.
But Joe Biden's dad, his father, owned a Chevy car dealership, and when he went to the prom, he went in one of his dad's Chevys. He still has, I think, a '56 Chevy convertible.
Yeah, wasn't there a picture recently of him taking in one of his cars like this yellow Corvette or something like that?
That car is from his dad's car dealership. I'm watching Jay Leno, right? Because Jay Leno owns all of his cars and all that kind of stuff. And Joe Biden is giving Jay Leno a ride in his original 1956. I can't remember the year, but it was a Corvette convertible that he owns. He wasn't this poor dude from San Pennsylvania with overalls on, with blackface, and his dad came in from a hard day's work with a light on his helmet and a lantern. He was not that dude.
Yeah, but none of these motherfuckers are.
Dealership, a Chevrolet dealership.
Hold on, fam. Forget Jim Crow Joe Biden for a second. None of these Democrats are. You know what I'm saying? Elizabeth Warren like to talk about she's a single mother, this, that, and the third. The bitch went to Harvard. Like, make the fuck out of here. Like, how many single mothers struggle that hard and still be able to make it through Harvard? And not only make it through Harvard, but make it through Harvard with advanced degrees and shit. They not us.
That's what I said on my Twitter that, RBG or whatever was not that great of a woman, right? Her dad was, I know for a fact, was from Ukraine. Her mom was born in New York, but her mom would have immigrant parents as well.
Yep.
But she was still able to make it over ADOS. I got my 90-year-old aunt, I told you that before, who would have been a better, and as Cool Officer and I said earlier, I didn't know, you don't even have to be a lawyer to be a Supreme Court justice.
That is true. It helps, but you don't have to be.
I didn't know that. It helps, but I didn't know that. But if you just got good common sense and you're just a professional debater and just a good person in your heart, you can get up in there.
Well, now you still need to interpret the law based off of stare decisis and stuff like that. I'll be honest with you. There's a reason why most judges are former lawyers, right? Because in order to really interpret the law properly, you have to understand the structures of the law and things like that. I'm not saying your aunt wouldn't have made a great ass justice. What I'm saying is that there's a reason why most of them are lawyers,
Mark. What he tells us all the time, you're a paralegal. You sit there and tell us all the time, I'm a paralegal. I know parts of the law. So my aunt could have easily been a paralegal in her generation. Easily.
Okay, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. Hey, black man, I got some more people that's trying to call in, fam. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you get the last word. But
that's fine. I don't know how the show is, but I appreciate your show still.
Man, as always, man, you always welcome, and thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Peace. Yeah, fam. The interesting thing about this whole shit is that they've spent decades trying to cultivate this false image in our head that we are the Democrats and the Democrats are us. But when's the last time you saw any Democrat of note that came from the same real background as you? Even Cory Booker, will sit there and claim that he talks about, he grew up in Newark and all of that. And that's true, right? But his parents were like upper crust. They were academics. You feel me? When's the last time you saw a motherfucker come off the motherfucking street who was, I don't know, flipping burgers at a burger joint or worked at a car wash who now represents you in Congress? You ain't seen no shit like that in your life. All of these people have connections to some degree of capital, some degree of access. They wouldn't even get a shot at being a voice for you if they weren't making these ties and connections. And where they lack them, the Democrats and the Republicans make sure that once they've been elected, they get them. It's crazy. Everybody talk about AOC like she's the second coming of fucking liberal Christ or something, or progressive Christ. But quiet as it's kept, AOC is going to quickly become a part of the machine too. Because she's either going to become a part of the machine or they're going to primary her ass the fuck up out of there. You saw what happened up in Massachusetts. They tried to primary Ed Markey, right? With one of the Kennedys. First time a Kennedy ever lost an election since JFK and RFK and all that shit. You feel me? But they tried to tell AOC and the squad and all the motherfuckers that, hey, it's bad to primary sitting, incumbent Democrats. The Dems are about to face a reckoning, fam. And I agree with you. AOC is already a part of the machine. Thank you, Strong Flower. She follows right in behind Mama Pelosi, yes, queen, on every vote. But she's supposed to be a Justice Democrat. She's supposed to be in there raging against the machine. My fucking ass, that's not how this game works. If you come in and you're not connected, they won't rest until they get you connected. Because if you're not connected, you're a threat. Caller from 860, it's your man Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, man. What's up? 860 in the house.
What's good, fam?
Hey, man. Yeah, man. You already know I'm giving you the fist bump on this one. For the record, RBG can kick rock.
Facts.
On so many levels. Now, I'm watching so many, it's always these black feminists that's promoting that shit.
Yep.
I'm going to put that on wax. And I just don't feel it. I don't like it. I feel it's counterproductive. Like, what has she done to help the black experience?
Not a damn thing.
The finger in support of black experience, and that's what my problem is with RBG. I think that this is a lesson for, like, black people need to be soul searching these people's records. Hold them accountable. You know what I mean? If they work for black people and black empowerment and for the success of black people, why are we messing with it? Why are we even supporting it?
Why are we even talking about them? Like, seriously, look, RBG is dead. I promise you that other than this broadcast, I will not talk about this motherfucker again unless she come back up in some news cycle and I need to inform y'all on something. I don't really even give a fuck. She ain't been no friend to my people. Why would I lionize her? Why would I sit there and be, running down her obituary? I couldn't care less. I don't sit there.
And that's where I want to get at with a lot of these black people, with John Lewis and a lot of these other black Democrats or other Democrats that say that they champion black people. And I'm going to touch upon that story where where you say that, why they try to come up with these hard stories that they have a hard life, because they want to try to compare themselves to the black experience.
Yep.
That's the. I'm going to go there and say that, man.
Fam, you're absolutely fucking right. Go ahead, fam. I'm listening. Go ahead.
Yeah, I get really tired and I get really offended when I get in a lot of to try to equate and try to water down what has happened to 400 years to my people. 400 years. So, like, I just look at it and be like, yo, like, get the fuck out of here. You immigrated over here. You came over JetBlue. You don't know what the fuck we're talking about.
Yep.
Like, and you just have to put things in the proper perspective. They might not like it, but they're going to get used to it.
That's my man's in them. He said they may not like it, fam, but they'll get used to it. Fuck them in their feelings, fam. You tell them what it is. They don't have to like it. You know what I tell them in a minute, fam. Fuck them if they can't take a joke. I'm not here to cater to nobody's feelings. I worry about my people and my people alone. Why is that? Because everybody else does the same fucking thing. There was somebody in chat earlier asking about Italian Americans. Why are you asking me? I'm not an Italian American. I don't have nothing against them, but I don't know shit about no Italian Americans. I'm not even concerning myself at this point with Italian Americans. I don't pay them no thought. I'm not concerned about their issues. I don't know what the fuck they want. I don't care. It's not like Italian Americans are beating down black folks' door and sitting here saying, hey, you know, we were just all talking about politics, you know, and we were wondering, you know, like, what's you guys' politics stance on this, you know? Like, we want to figure out if we got something in common so maybe we can... It ain't like Italian Americans is hitting us up and asking us what the fuck our policies are on shit. Or concerning themselves with how we operate.
We all know what their policies are. We all know what their policies are that they're all on code with.
Exactly. Italian Americans' policies is the same as every other American's policies that ain't us. More for them and nothing for us. That's it.
So I also want to call on what I was talking about in that $5 cash app. When I said about like black people in politics and civics, like I'm a part of 2 civic groups.
Yeah.
And I'm part of a frat. So like a little bit of back, like I'm always used to using civics. I was used to it outside of church, so like I was used to doing that stuff. But these are stuff. Our civic engagement comes from church.
That's a sick thing, fam.
And yeah, and we shouldn't really, as black people, we really shouldn't be doing our politics based off of that.
Nope.
At all. Like, at all. Like, it's hard for black people, I feel as a group now, as a collectively, because of how we were beaten into submission with this religion. And, like, it really, like, it's just more and more for a claim of why we need reparations.
Mm-hmm.
Why we need to have our own black mental health advocates, and we need to support those black mental health advocates.
Facts.
And understand that they're speaking on behalf of our traumatic experiences. And we need to, as a group, we need to take black mental health very, very seriously.
Yes, sir.
Especially in the midst of these natural traumas. All I got to say is on these things is that me being part of, like, I'm also part of the NAACP, so shout out to the other caller on that. So he ain't the only one on the fight. There's a lot of people in that position of Operation Takeover. So, look, the only question, like, in my neck of the woods in Connecticut, we're not even talking about damn reparations. That's how bad it is.
I believe it.
And it's a damn shame because, like, it shows how entrenched we are with religion, how we're not involved civically, and how if we were involved civically, we'll be able to reach out to a Muslim brother. We can reach out to a pagan brother. We can reach out to a brother that might be an atheist and still be along and still be on code and still get along with each other. And I think black people need to get more involved in civics. Like,
I agree.
More, man.
I agree. Our politics need to stay the fuck out here, and church need to stay the fuck in there. Whether it's the masjid, the synagogue, the temple, the church, I don't give a shit what it is. I'm not religious, but I will back any of you, regardless of your religion, if you willing to ride for this motherfucking justice claim. I don't care what God you worship.
And that's where I'm really at with a lot of black people. Is like when we look at these people, any of these officials and candidates, Are they speaking and punishing these police? Are they talking that talk? Are they talking the talk of getting our justice claims?
Yep.
Are they talking about those type of things? If they're not talking about those type of tangibles, I was getting into a white politician's ass when I was doing my civic duty stuff, saying that like this is what's going on. This is what some of these young black people are really thinking about right now, dude. So I find that really offensive that you come to my neighborhood, but whatever's clever, I'm gonna still give you that work.
Facts.
I'll tell you what's going on. And like right now, like it's put up or shut up. Either you gonna cut that check or just get out of our face.
Thank you.
Because they're not doing any good, whatever they're doing, and whatever they're pulling is only good for them. It's not good for the overall collective. And it's very, very self-centered. And you see it even more so in the civic world.
Yep.
Because like the civic world is a microcosm of the elections, the microcosms of these type of situations. And like it's like pulling teeth in my community to tell them about Robert's rules and different procedures. And understand that these procedures are very vital to your survival. And it's just as much as counting in your ABCs. Your child should be knowing this shit.
I agree, man. I mean, you know, the thing is, I remember growing up, you know, we were learning civics on TV, even outside of school. You feel me? I remember Schoolhouse Rock, where we learned how a bill becomes a law and shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
But this stuff, well, I mean that there's even stuff even more into like the civic stuff. It's like these are where do you think these white people learn how to do gridlocking? How they learn how to manipulate voting schemes? They had to practice somewhere hands-on that's tangible.
Yep.
Like these are it's a reason. It's a lot more that goes into this. I think I'm gonna try to button it up and give all these other callers love too, because they need to be showing support and love, and definitely supporting our black media.
Hey man, I appreciate you, fam. As always, I mean, you always bring the fire, and I, you know, I want you to understand, man. You know how we say, as our people say, one pony don't stop no show, right? I find it.
Also, OG, I forgot to tell you.
Yeah.
Right now, in my community, because my community is the black community is not doing their civic responsibility and doing their due diligently. These white folks in the community is trying to change their name on a black historical meal center.
Man, they better stand up. They better get loud.
I'm telling you guys that on this call right now. That is the result of not doing your homework. That is the result of not reading your bylaws. That is the result of actually not studying the Robert's rules.
You know what I'm gonna tell you, fam? I'm glad you brought all that shit up, because for us, we talk about the devil, you know, the white devil. The white devil exists in the details, fam. Always in the fine print.
In the details.
In the bylaws, in the motherfucking contract, in the lease terms, and all this and that. Man, black folks should know the motherfucking paperwork better than anybody, because that's where they fuck you. You thinking you a part of an organization or part of a homeowners association is doing this, that, and the third. You ain't read shit. And then when they come and throw you out of your house, you want to scream injustice because you didn't read the motherfucking bylaws and understand how they can use the mechanisms to do it.
Or worse yet, they argue and bickering with the other black person and costing them instead of working and defending them at all costs.
Facts.
That's that shit that I don't like. It's like, and I see that all the damn time. I never see any other culture groups arguing in public during those type of settings. Yeah, they might pull you beforehand meeting and they're cussing your ass out, but they're not cussing you. They're not cussing you out and embarrassing you in a public meeting.
You know what though, fam? We have a responsibility to just stop engaging that, right? You remember when we was kids?
When it comes to voting, I think that we should disengage.
No. Don't misunderstand me. Don't misunderstand me, fam, because I'm talking rather specifically here. So let me say my piece. When you talk about people embarrassing other black folk out here publicly and shit like that, right? My mother always told me, and I'm certain your mother told you the same thing. It takes two to tango. Motherfucker looks stupid fighting by themselves, right? So we have to start shaming these motherfuckers publicly the way that they attempt to shame us, right? We just need to leave them standing there looking stupid as fuck and keep it pushing. I agree that we need to also, when we become a part of these organizations, like for example, a lot of us now are engaging with the Greens. I don't want us to make the mistake of just being regular line party members and letting the Greens dictate policy. If there's any type of bylaw committees or rules committees or organizational committees, we need to be filling up those seats.
Facts. And that's what, and I'm glad that you're saying that. Like, it's almost like pulling teeth. Half of it is because we are a bottom cat. Half of it is some of us are not having a job schedule that's conducive for us to be in there. But we also need to be tapping these elders. They need to be doing the work. They need to be on these board councils. They need to be not in these damn churches as much. They need to be doing the work as well.
I don't know, fam. I mean, I love and respect my elders, but I'm not optimistic. You know, the fact is I'm serious. We have to be mindful of the information. I don't want to throw shade at my elders, but what I will say is this. It's continually a source of consternation for me when I go back through the primaries and I look at where we are, where our population predominates, and look at the breakdown of who voted for who, and consistently see that essentially our elders shoved Jim Crow Joe Biden down our motherfucking throats. That really galls me, fam.
And I find that very disrespectful and disingenuous. It also shows that like there's a real disconnect with our. I'm gonna sum it up. I'm really glad that the baby boomer generation is dying off. Honestly, like they fucked up so much, like with the buffoonery, the jokery. To be honest, I'm surprised that as a race that we're still here, operational.
I'll keep it a buck with you. Sometimes I wonder my goddamn self. I mean, I'm an Xer, man, and anybody that'll tell you from Generation X often wonders how the fuck we still here. Seriously. It was like our generation, our parents was just like, man, fuck you niggas. Here's a key. There's the refrigerator. Make sure to brown the motherfucking meat. That was it. Like, seriously, man, I'm telling you, if you was either getting dogged up as an Xer or neglected. Matter of fact, they had a term that they used to use when I was a kid to describe us. They called us latchkey kids.
Yes. I know what you're talking about.
We had a key to the house. You know what I'm saying? And mom and daddy off doing whatever the fuck they want to do. And that was it. Yeah, Xers got fucked, man. Like, seriously, I wonder, as an Xer, I actually have to practice mental disciplines to prevent myself from slipping into a rage and i.e. a depression, because I'm not going to attack my elders, right? And depression is that anger you turn inward. So I'm not going to do that. But I have to actually make the effort to not go off when it comes to the generations that came, our parents. Because our parents, man, I'm serious. There's a reason why, but Strong Flower, there's a reason why the kids nowadays aren't like that. Because we kind of, as Xers, we kind of overcompensated with our kids. A lot of us, took the lack of rearing that we experienced is committed to not being anything like our motherfucking parents. But our kids required some structure that some of us didn't necessarily provide. I'm not going to indict us as saying we were just all a bad generation of parents and we just let, our kids run roughshod. But we did try as best we could to make shit smooth and easy for them. And I think it's sometimes us Xers, we're a little too soft on our children. They need some challenge, something to harden them up, to toughen them up and make them use their muscles. But we went a little overboard and basically said, okay, I didn't get no toys when I was a kid, so if my kid want an Xbox, I'm gonna get him an Xbox. Never mind your kid ain't doing their motherfucking times tables in school, right? Like we kind of went a little too far the opposite way of our parents. Our parents were harder than fucking stone, right? Some of us went a little too soft, and we didn't provide our children with the opportunities to kind of flex their muscles and gain their emotional, mental fortitude. So now these kids are softer than medicated cotton. And we looking at their ass like, damn, man, I don't remember being that fucking soft. Well, we kind of made them like that. I'm not saying that we're bad folk. I think we just kind of, the pendulum, the pendulum, right? Our parents was complete.
I don't think we made it like that. I think that a lot of these government policies, a lot of these feminists, and like a lot of these crazy white supremacists and stuff, it's in their best interest to have us soft and weak.
Well, now hold on a second, because you're absolutely right. Because then you have to add that element too, right? So as we became adults and started having children of our own, right? On top of the fact that we kind of, as a group, as a generational demo, sort of swung the pendulum back the other way. You had at the same time this cultural shift towards, nobody has to be, nobody has to like lose. Everybody's winning just because they participate. If you just show up, you're a winner. And this, that, and the third, right? So it's like you had this cultural shift that was so focused on self-esteem that it started propping up kids who, quite frankly, were fucking incompetent. Like, if you just tried to get the problem right, you got praised. Well, no, the problem's still wrong. You know what I'm saying?
110%. Yeah, I 110% understand where you're coming from. Also, one thing I also noticed, when we're in these environments, when we're debating each other intellectually, Black people as a group, we're concerned about the tone in which somebody says it in. I sometimes I caught myself, but I noticed that I find that very alarming that we do that. We don't focus on what it's a person actually, what they're saying, and if it's practical and if we can apply it.
But that, fam, that goes back to that anti-intellectualism strain and that hyper-emotionality that we focus on. We are a warm people, but you can use that against us. You know what I'm saying? Because in point of fact, we're inappropriately emotional at times. There are times when it's just about the content. It's just about business. Like when you go into a business meeting, nobody gives a fuck what you feel about the business meeting. If you're not presenting any data or inquiring about some data or helping to tabulate some information, nobody gives a fuck about what you feel in that meeting. Why? Because it's business, right? But Black people, because we are this really warm feeling thing, and not to mention the fact that that's the kind of the one thing that white society is kind of comfortable with us in. Like I saw this tweet from Kerry Washington on Twitter where she was talking about Black boy joy, and it had this brother, or I don't know if he was a brother or not, I think it was a foreign location or whatever, but this Black man standing in front of this motherfucking restaurant, like twerking and butt dancing and shit in front of all these white folks. And it was like, what? How the fuck is that Black boy joy? Them white folks was sitting there trying to eat a meal, and you out there twerking and booty shaking and all this and that in front of them white folks. Man, get the fuck out of here with that. Like, we inappropriate with our expressions of emotion, and we need to start getting that shit under control. Like, there's times.
Man, that's because of single parent household mothers, man. I'm gonna sum that up, man. That's because of household mothers raising them watered down kids. Like, I came with a father in the household. So, like, I grew up with that. So, like, that is the standard in which I try to meet a lot of women and stuff of that nature and how I interact. Or that's the things that I want to perpetuate and encourage. Because that perpetuates Black families and Black unity. So, it bothers me that people is posting up talking about this RBG woman. She never did shit for the Black community. She never spoke in our interest. She never said anything in our view. And I think we should return the favor.
I agree. I think she should shuffle off into obscurity. At least for Black people. If white America wants to elevate and lionize her, let them go right ahead. They can have fucking tributes to her till the cows come home. I don't have nothing else to say on her. On to the next.
Oh yeah, that Andrew Gillum dude. What the F? Yeah, I wanted to get on that conversation too because
I really don't, but everybody seems to want to. To be honest, I don't.
I find it very problematic, and I find it like I look at it as like sisters. It shows that sisters need to really like get their act together. Like, what type of men are they dating? What type of
No. Pause. I'm not gonna put that on sisters. That's one black woman with one black man. Here's the thing. I get that there are themes, for lack of a better way to describe it, that go across our people as as far as like relationships goes and family goes and things like that. There are themes, all right. But with that being said, when we address cases like we can with the Andrew Gilliam case, let's address his situation. I'm not going to sit here and say that Andrew Gilliam is the reason why all these niggas is on the down low, bringing the shit home to their wife. No, I'm not going to do that. And at the same token, I'm not going to sit here and say, see, that sister putting up with his bullshit is the reason why black women is no, because you don't get to do that. This is one case.
Well,
this is one couple, one people.
I agree with what you're saying, but what I will push back on is that it's her level of influence in our society. See, black people need to take into account the same thing with Jada Pinkett and some of these people that are big socialites within our society. It's how influential they are on the psyche of our black women. And they should be held accountable to a higher standard.
Actually, I would say that our sisters need to be careful who it is, and our brothers too as well, right? Because it's not like we got a big heaping gob of gigantic leaders out here that's steering the black man right. Let's keep it a full ass buck. We got Terry fucking Crews. You know what I'm saying? We all, as individual, as well as families and as a collective, need to be more careful who we share our energy with and who we allow to influence us. We have a say in that. We don't have to listen to Andrew Gilliam and his wife. We don't have to listen to Terry Crews. We don't have to worry about motherfuckers like Candace Owens or King Face or any of them motherfuckers. We don't have to worry about these bootlicking ass liberal pets like Mark Lamont Hill and Michael Eric Dyson and all these buck dancers. We don't have to give them no headspace, no credence, but we do. And that's not on them. White supremacy is going to continue to prop those people up out there. And if you stumble across that and you let that be a stumbling block to you, how much of that is on Michael Eric Dyson and them, these pets, and how much of that is on you for not doing your due diligence, for not doing your work to make sure that you surround yourself with the people that uphold the values that you want, that want for themselves what you want for them. Fam, I'm telling you, a lot of this back and forth, gender warring and beefing amongst each other would end if we would understand that in the simplest fashion, right? We are all individually responsible for our own individual relationships. As a collective, we are all responsible for setting the culture on a path that the most of us can embrace without any drama or fuckery or whatever the case may be. You get me? In other words, anything I say that should be a prescription, meaning something we should do, has to be something that the vast majority of black folk can actually agree to and uphold without there being rancor. Otherwise, I'm out of pocket. You see what I'm saying? And those are conversations that we need to have. But as long as we take individual cases and blow them up in a reductio, argumentatum ad absurdum, right? Making the argument to its most absurd conclusion and stretching that out over our whole fucking people, then why do you think we're not going to war? Because as soon as you, okay, brother, I'll give you a case in point. As soon as you, as a black man, say, black women need to do, you're going to piss somebody off. Now, I'm not saying it's right. They should hear you based off of the information you're about to deliver. But you already know, as a black man, who the fuck you dealing with when you start talking about black women. Because we are an emotional ass people. So if you start off something talking about what the sisters need to do, you already setting yourself as well as them up for failure. Instead, we need to frame these conversations where we build from individual cases and then using reason, extrapolate out to a conclusion that we all can come and say, yeah, you know what? That brother made sense when he said that. I can see why if somebody's operating like this, it's going to end up like this on a grand scale, right? If you want us to start operating more off of reason, then start being reasonable. That's all I'm saying. I'm not jumping on you, fam. I want you to understand. I got nothing but love for you, bro.
I completely take that constructive criticism to the face.
Yeah, if you want us to be a reasonable people, fam, then you start with reason. Right? Because I think there's a lot of things that we could have good discussions about what both brothers as well as sisters can be doing that could be to not only our individual benefit as black men and black women, but to our collective benefit as people who relate to each other, who share the same heritage, lineage, so on and so forth. But one thing I do know is this: we will never get there as long as right from words say go, our argumentation starts off in emotionality, where we're dragging people to a place they can't help but to go. We love emotionality. We love drama. We are addicted to fucking bullshit and drama. So if you're trying to get people to elevate their shit to a higher level, why would you go to them with drama? You don't. You keep the drama to a minimum. You say, you know what? I want to talk today briefly about X, Y, and Z. There was a case that I looked at in blase, skippity, woo, woo. And my concerns are that based off, if you want reason, black people can be reasonable, but you have to actually approach a topic with reason. Right? Don't give the drama no place to stand, and it can't exist. You feel me? Bro, man, you still with me?
I'm right here.
Oh, okay, fam. But I'm gonna let you have the last word because I got somebody else calling in and it's starting to get into some hours here. So go ahead, fam. I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah. I want to close it out. I want to say definitely, Operation Takeover in Connecticut is definitely in effect. You got people up in the NAACP. If y'all really want to get like ADOS boots on the ground, please go to the big chapter. Flood them out. Take over the big boys and the little ones will follow.
Facts.
That's how you work it out in Connecticut. Knock out the big dog first. And right now, the Capitol is hurting. We got bullets whizzing around, and we got nobody, and them second-guessing reparations in our community, and nobody's not answering this. So, these are sins that that need to be atoned, one way or another. And I'm just gonna let it be said: you're not alone. You're not alone. And there's other people in the NAACP that feels a certain way. So I see the change. And it's definitely going to happen. Yep. One way or another. So I'll talk to you in a minute.
Yes, sir. Always a pleasure, brother. Peace.
Peace.
All right, here we go. That was a great call from that brother. Caller from 760. It's your man, Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
Hey, it's AJ calling in again.
What's good, fam?
Good show as always. But I did want to call. I don't want to take too long. There was a couple of things that you mentioned that I just wanted to comment on. One of the things was, this whole AOC thing with all these so-called progressives, Democratic progressives. I saw right away that that she was just gonna fall right in line with whatever the Nancy Pelosi and the rest of them wanted to do.
Right.
Because it seems like once they get in there, they want to stay there. And it seems that whatever I didn't know about her before she blew up and became this media darling. I didn't pay no attention to her because I'm not in that state. I'm already in California. She's already over there in New York.
Right.
I remember correctly. Yeah, New York. So I didn't see all of this upcoming. But now that she's on the scene, You know, she certainly seems to be really bowing down to, you know, whatever they tell her to do. And I think that's going to be, you know, that certainly takes away from her whole shine. Like they're trying to make her into this champion for, you know, the little guy. When, you know, she's certainly not, to me at least, from over here, is being the complete opposite. And
you know,
I think that's going to be a problem.
The thing is that if they can't co-opt you in Washington, if they can't co-opt you, and if they can't corrupt you, they will end you. You will not be in Washington. It's as simple as that. If they, I mean, look at I'll give you a case in point. Look at Lindsey Graham, the Republican, Lindsey Graham, right, Senator? Lindsey Graham was whole hog against Donald Trump. You go look back at Lindsey Graham and his talking points before Trump was elected. Lindsey Graham was eating Trump's lunch. But then Lindsey Graham is corruptible because Lindsey Graham's got some secret background shit that he ain't told nobody about. Now, at this point, it's really kind of an open secret, but you know, everybody's kind of operating on a whole don't ask, don't tell model. You know what I'm saying? So he's got some skeletons that I'm certain they paid him a visit and said, hey, you still gonna be talking like this, or do we need to start telling stories? And now Trump can't do anything without Lindsey Graham running up first to start stroking. If you know what I'm saying. Right. But that's one way. Another way is that they can buy you. See, the problem that I have in some ways with the idea of us running our own candidates is that if we don't run and fund our candidates from the moment they announce their candidacy all the way to their re-election, they're susceptible to being bought. They're susceptible to being bought.
We don't have enough people. I mean, in general, you know, integrity is one of the hardest things for people to
well, I don't think it's so much a function of integrity as it is more along the lines of you end up dancing with the one that brung you, right? In the United States of America, it's a truth that we have the best government money can buy, especially since Citizens United. Money runs politics. But
that's what I mean by what, you know, concerns me. They just had this Cori Bush woman. She just won in St. Louis, Missouri. She's going on to be she's going on to Congress. You know, and she's straight ADOS. You know.
I know about the sister.
But you know, I'm concerned about her too, because once they get in there, it's like, you know, seeing all the bling bling and the, you know, the private meetings and the, hey, if you want to get reelected, you got to do X, Y, and Z, and, you know, all that concerns me. And I think, you know, a lot of that does come down to, you know, she says she ran, not to speak, I shouldn't have said it like that. She ran because she wanted to make a difference. But I'm concerned about, you know, what happens once, you know, they get in there and all the lights are on and all the, you know, all the money's moving around and everything. You know,
so,
what's going to happen to that tech?
I think the answer to that, now I'm going to say answer to it, because I think the answer to that question you have is multifold, right? It will require more analysis than we can kind of really devote right now. But what I will say is this.
She hasn't been there yet.
Well, one answer to your concern is that we need to maintain the relationship. See, one thing that I've learned that is a gift of our tribe exclusively in this country is that because we ain't never really had no money, we focus everything on relationships, right? Sister Cora can be exposed to all these people talking about, yeah, we'll do fundraisers for you, this, that, and the third, right? But if we always in her office and we always bringing the sister lunch And we always talking to her about how her day going, working as a public citizen, or a public servant for us, right? If we get involved in her daily life, if we don't let her be there as our representative and just be out there like, okay, we've elected her, we done, now get to work. If we maintain the ties and the relationships with Sister Cora, then she's not likely to be susceptible, to be inclined, because she'll remember us when she's in these circumstances. When they present her with these motherfucking choices, Sister Cora be like, nah, I can't do that to brother so-and-so. He came, to my sister's birthday party, my daughter's birthday party last week, and he brought her a really nice gift. My people call me every day, not to tell me what they want me to be doing, but just to check and see how I'm doing. That relationship between us as her constituency and her as our representative is super important in the absence of our capability to be the biggest bidder.
Right. I agree. I 100% agree with you on that. And I think that, things like that, those kind of overtures, would be a tremendous benefit.
Absolutely. We just have to
keeping her on the path that she said she wanted to be on.
We just have to do what we've been doing. We can't see, I keep trying to tell everybody, we make shitty white people. And what I mean by that is this. Everybody wants to come and try to tell us that, hey, if you want power, you got to do like insert ethnic demo here does. They want us to imitate Jews. They want us to imitate Asians. They want us to imitate Mexicans. They want us to imitate white folks. I'm not Asian, Mexican, white, Arab. I'm black. I'm a descendant of slaves. How I do shit and how we do shit is vastly fucking different than how other people do shit. Absolutely. And it has the same capability to deliver us power as anybody else's shit does.
That's true.
So if I don't have no money,
100%.
If I don't have no money, and our people ain't never really had no money, but what we've always had is the ability to maintain ties and relationships with each other. Fam, you can go across the country and you got cousins you don't even know, but they'll recognize you, be like, fam, where you been? Come on in. You want something to eat? Hey, our cousin here from so and so and so and so. Right?
Right.
That's a unique trait to us. Nobody else operates like that. But we should give that up to operate like Latinos or like Jews? No. I like that we operate that way. So how does that translate into politics? Well, it's simple. If we get people into politics that are willing to advocate for us, then our tie to them, our bonds with them on a daily basis become even more important. We have to reinforce those bonds constantly so that when somebody else come out who's a stranger just waving piles of money, they're not. If somebody came and told you, brother, man, I'll give you, $200,000 and all you have to do is call your mama a bitch, would you do it?
Oh, no.
Why? Because that's your mama, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Well, and there's relationship there.
Exactly. There's relationships there. So if we with Sister Cora, if she's representing us and she feels like we're there with her every day, right? She don't have to be up there in DC alone trying to, roll pills with the birds, but her people are with her and she's with her people. It don't matter the size of the checks they come at her with. She's not going to be susceptible because that's going to be like the equivalent of her calling her mama a bitch for a check. She won't do it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely right. And that's what you want to say. And like I said, that's the thing I see. I mean, I was happy to hear about it because I'm not in Missouri, so I wouldn't have heard about it if she didn't pop up on the national news radar because of how unprecedented they said her win was, because she defeated some guy that was part of the Congressional Black Caucus, and for 27 years he's been there, and she just came out to beat him. Mm-hmm. I think that made news for them. That she did something like that, and him packing that all the time. He was the son of somebody too, but that's how she popped up into the radar.
Yeah,
because she won against this guy.
Well, brother, if I might make a recommendation, I want you And because I need to commit to doing the same thing. I have been doing it, but I want to mention it because there's nothing I'm ever going to ask you to do that I'm not willing to do myself. I want you to commit, though, to picking any jurisdiction where our people are. Okay? Doesn't matter if it's your jurisdiction or somewhere else, preferably somewhere else where you don't live, and learn about one politician in that jurisdiction, right? Especially if they're a black face. Right, like let's say you live, you know what I'm saying, you brother. I'm sorry, where are you located? You don't have to give me like.
I'm in California.
California, okay. So you live in California. Let's say that you pick Texas, right, Austin or something like that, and you look at Austin and you see a politician there, and they're a black face, right, like us. Start studying their background. Start looking into their positions. Look at their voting record, right? Look at their party affiliation. See if you can find out what their bio is, right? The reason why I'm having you do this is this, because as we build our political muscles up by operating kind of like on local levels, like the ADOS chapters are doing, other independent people who are not affiliated with ADOS are doing, right? As we develop our local muscles, right? We start getting strong, dealing with local issues and things like that, and getting people on board to be full-throated with our interests. At some point, we're going to have had to develop the habits to start seeing some of these politicians coming. We shouldn't be getting blindsided by a politician that comes out of nowhere that we don't know nothing about, but all of a sudden is a national, figure or whatever. To a certain extent, we should be knowing about these individuals before they become these national figures and shit. You feel me? I want you to consider, and I want you and I to consider doing, looking at a jurisdiction that's not ours, picking a politician and doing your full due diligence about that politician, even though you don't live there, even though you'll never have to vote for them, because you never know if some of your family might be like, yeah, man, this motherfucker's running for office. I don't really know nothing about him. You dig? And you can be like, wait a minute, I checked up on them. Let me run it down to you who they are and what they're about. This is who they get their money from. This is their party affiliation, blah, blah. You may be the vehicle that drives political action in a locale where you're not even living. We're going to have to start working on those muscles. We're going to have to start working on developing those muscles.
Yeah, we have to, because we need to get, I'm not 100% on board with our own party, because, just like you were talking earlier, with schools and everything, it just, I don't know, I just have problems with, trying to separate in the sense of, breaking off into our own, because that makes it, too easy to isolate, as opposed to isolate and neutralize than it does to actually accomplish anything.
So, brother, if you don't mind me asking, because right now what you're doing, psychology is one of my favorite things, right? So I'm not jumping on you. We're doing sort of a amateur analysis, right? Because what you're expressing right now is a fear and a concern, and that concern is driven by something. Okay, so do you mind taking a few minutes with me to just look at this thing, right? To just look at because what you're saying is valid. I'm saying that I hear where you're coming from. I want us to kind of analyze it, though. I don't want it to just end with you saying I'm concerned about being isolated and so on and so forth. Do you have a minute or so to kind of look at this with me?
Yeah, because I was looking at it, especially from the educational piece. On how that push for that push for equality and equity turned into integration, which then turned into isolation and neutralization from the schools, because all they did was, oh sure, you all can come be in school and sure, but what we're going to do as you know, as white folks, we're going to ostracize you over here and underfund your schools.
Yeah.
And we're going to create our own school districts, or we're going to go to private schools. But we, on the surface, yeah, we gave you what we said what y'all wanted. But in reality, we've isolated and neutralized you and created the school-to-prison pipeline. But we're calling it, you know, integration and, you know, public education.
Yeah, absolutely.
But our kids aren't a part of that. That's my concern and my fear with, you know, doing you know, some kind of, you know, separate political party. I mean, we do need more political parties.
Okay. Now, your fear, like I said, I get where it's coming from, right? I understand the validity of it. Now, let's analyze that fear for soundness, because I'm going to give you some information that, if my information is correct, and trust me, I would love for you to fact check me. All right. I want you to take anything I tell you, and I want you to research it for yourself. Okay. But let's take a look at the soundness of what your fear is. Okay. So if I want to make sure I understand it too, your concern is that if we create our own political party, we remain permanent outsiders politically, right? We just shunted off and ignored politically.
Right.
Okay. I just want to make sure I steel man what you were saying. That just means I wanted to give the best representation of what you were saying. Okay. Right. So that concern comes from the fact that, first of all, this would be a new thing for us, right? We simply we as our people have no experience with doing such things. Right. So the only thing that we kind of have to lean on is, are there any examples of anyone else doing such things and finding a degree of success with it? Because if anyone else can be successful at this, regardless of our unique disadvantages, we too can be successful at it too, with taking into account certain realities and so on and so forth. OK, now, you're familiar with Bernard Sanders, right? Bernie Sanders. Yes. Before 2016, right? Bernard Sanders was an independent from the state of Vermont. He's the independent senator from the state of Vermont. When he ran for office, he does not have a party affiliation. You follow me? Okay. Now, once he's seated as senator in the Senate, for purposes of vote counting and things like that, Bernard Sanders agreed to caucus with the Democrats. Now, if you're unclear what caucus means, I can define it for you, but essentially it means that he got it, right? So for all intents and purposes, for voting purposes and things like that, you could pretty much, if you were a Democrat, count on Bernard's vote if you needed it. Right. He was independent. He had no party affiliation. Yet, given the vote, the situation, the circumstance, he was likely to ride with the Democrats on any particular party line vote. Okay. Now, why am I bringing that up? Because that right there, fam, I believe is the answer to your concern of us being politically isolated. In point of fact, as long as the so-called two-party system, the duopoly, exists, any party that is not D or R will only have power relative, right? That's the same for Greens. That's the same for Socialist Party. That's the same for the Libertarians. That's the same for any other party that is not D or R, right? However, does that mean that necessarily we will be shunted off, isolated politically? No, because we can agree to caucus with either the D or the R's for the sake of them getting shit that they want in return for us getting what we want. Right? By Sanders caucusing with the Democrats, it made it easy for him to drum up support for any legislation that he wanted to see pushed through. Because you say, yeah, I've caucused with you guys on this and that and the third. He can negotiate, and then they'll put their imprimatur, they'll co-sign his legislation, right? The same thing operates with us. We would be able to take advantage of the same mechanism inside the Senate or the House should we have our own political party, but say we caucus with the Democrats. That doesn't mean we're Democrats. That puts us in the driver's seat. If the Democrats doesn't come to us willing to support our legislative agenda and things like that, then they don't get our vote. But if they're willing to, back some of our shit, then we will caucus with them. Or if it's the Republicans, because I'm not married to the Dems or the Republicans, right? I don't care who we ultimately end up caucusing with, as long as we're getting our legislative agenda addressed and met. We can use the mechanism, the vehicle of the two-party system, the duopoly, without necessarily claiming affiliation with either D or R. So, fam, I get your concern. Go ahead, fam. I didn't mean to cut you off.
But I hear what you're saying, and it's a valid argument. But also at the same time, two different times when he's running for president, the DNC has closed ranks to make sure that his true progressive, whatever you want to call his policies, since he surrounded by black people, he can never talk about black people. I don't understand that. But, they still effectively neutralized him being able to advance to even get to the national stage for rank and file people to even vote for him.
But here's the issue, fam. Are you planning on us putting up a candidate? So let's say that we start a black, a party that's ADOS oriented party that's all about our interests as the descendants of the enslaved in the United States. Are you saying that we should run our own candidate for president? Because, you would have some legitimate concerns with either of those parties if you were actually putting up a candidate that could snatch votes from their candidate for president. Of course, they wouldn't necessarily let somebody take that machinery over or that vehicle over, right? That doesn't make sense. But now, if we're not putting up a candidate for president, then I don't understand why they would even consider to do that. Right? Like, what would they gain by shunting us off if we're willing at times to back their agenda in return for them backing ours, as long as we're not trying to take away any access or votes away from any candidates that they're likely to run? If we do put people into legislative power, those people are going to be running on our slate in our areas where we predominate, or we have people that align with our project, right? Or else they wouldn't get elected.
I'm not saying in terms of running for president. I was, using the example of how even though they let him into the party, they didn't get he ultimately was sidelined from eating the cake and ice cream.
But they did not ever want Bernard Sanders to be president. What he did was the equivalent of us starting our own party, right? Getting a few candidates in the office, in the House and in the Senate, right? Which would be awesome if we were able ever to do that, right? And working with either Dems or Republicans, right? And then when the presidential election comes along, we put out our own candidate that can siphon off votes from either a Democrat or a Republican candidate. Bernard Sanders in 2016 had threatened to go third party in order to maintain his candidacy as president. You think the Democrats forgot that? No fucking way. There was never going to be a moment where under the Democratic banner, I don't even think it was necessarily all that much about policies. I do believe that the Democrats are scared of a progressive agenda, but I think that had Bernard maybe approached it differently, he could have had the progressive agenda all over the place. I don't think it was about the policies. I was thinking that it was about the fact that he comes in as an independent, sits down with us, eats at our table, this, that, and the third for, a good long time. And now we're trying to take power from our so-called arch rivals who have somebody that they're trying to put up for the highest position in the land. And then here he comes and he's supposed to be now the guy. But he's siphoning off votes from somebody we already want as our person, right? The DNC already usually has their candidate or candidates that they support right from jump. Bernie wasn't it. It didn't matter how many people in America wanted to support Bernard Sanders. If the DNC, the party mechanism, the party apparatchiks don't support him, it wasn't going to matter how strong his support was with the populace. I think we're looking at this kind of from the wrong angle. It was just simply business. It had nothing to do with them necessarily hating all of his policies, right? Because they know how to mouth at least support for those policies to get votes. The Democrats haven't at least forgotten how to do that, right? But the problem is that essentially Bernie Sanders was trying to play both sides against the middle. He wasn't a dedicated Democrat, but yet wanted the ability to either be the Democratic candidate or to have the option to slip off on the side in a third party and siphon votes away from a Democrat. So there was no way they was going to ever do that. There was no way they were ever going to back him like that.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But if we're not running, if our party simply caucuses with Dems or Republicans, and we're not running a presidential candidate to siphon votes away, potential votes away from a candidate that they want to see win, what I'm trying to find out, like I'm trying to guess what incentive then would they have to squelch us politically? None. As long as we weren't angling to try to sabotage any office that they were trying to get somebody in or whatever, except in the areas in which we predominated and we put up our own candidates, and there was no way they were going to get a candidate in our areas anyway, right? What would be the problem?
Well, I mean, as soon as we start talking seriously about reparations, they're going to lose it.
I'm sorry, brother, I didn't catch what you said.
I said, as soon as we start talking seriously about reparations, they're going to lose it.
Well, they can get mad, they can scratch their ass and get glad, but we're going to continue to advocate for our own political interests in spite of the fact of anybody else. That's the whole point of us having our own political structure, our own political party or something like that, is continued advocacy in spite of whoever else is talking. Our advocacy don't stop just simply because they get butthurt about our advocacy. Fuck them.
Well, I wasn't saying it in terms of not advocating for it. The question was just, what would cause them to, some of the things that would cause them to seek to isolate and neutralize. And I'm saying it would be our advocacy for our own issues in terms of reparations and in terms of, ending the crime bill and turning back a whole lot of the bills that they've already said. They have a vested interest in keeping all of that stuff going. I'm not saying we don't fight for it. I'm not saying... No,
I hear you, brother. I apologize if I mischaracterized you. Yeah, I apologize if I mischaracterized you.
But what I'm saying is that those are the triggers that would cause them to seek to isolate and neutralize.
Okay, brother. So then, if I were to say to you then at that point, fuck politics. Let's take it to the streets. What would you say to that? Because I agree with you. I believe that at some point there might be a level of advocacy that, regardless of our willingness to work with them and negotiate with them and caucus with them and all this and that, that they will balk. So if we reach a political impasse, and at that point we're getting isolated and sidelined, so then would it be all right for us to stop politics and start exercising our voice by other means? Or what do you say to that?
Yeah, because it would have to be.
Okay.
Because we've been trying to do this, through the system.
Yep.
For a very long time, and ADOS coming together is a new thing. In a different way of approaching it. We ought to give that a try.
Keep talking, brother. I'm coming right back. I'm just gonna run and grab something right quick. Keep talking.
And we ought to give that a try, absolutely. But just and I don't want to make it seem like we shouldn't. But what I am saying is that, those are the triggers that we'd have to be looking out for, because, we've seen 100 times smiling in our face, oh yeah, we're gonna hook you up, we're gonna take care of you. Oh yeah, someone sit down, talk to us. Oh yeah, we want to hear what you got to say. And come back. Well, we really couldn't, and this and that, and this and any kind of excuse.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, obviously we need to keep pushing for everything, but that's my the smiling in the face, doing something else soon as you leave the room. That's the thing that concerns me.
Yeah.
And
that's a valid concern.
Why, I equated it to the what happened in the education sector, in public education, because that's exactly what they did to us. Oh yeah, we want to make sure y'all get equality and equity, and come on over here, and we'll do this, and we'll desegregate the schools. I mean, over some people's dead bodies, but we're going to desegregate the schools and give you a quality education, and our education is garbage. Like you were talking earlier about the textbooks. I went through that too.
Absolutely.
I think I'm a few years older than you, but I can certainly remember that. I can certainly remember. Excuse me. I came up. When there was still a few more black teachers than there are now. Because black people were leaving, the education sector in droves because of how toxic it is.
But you know what, brother? I'll be honest with you.
There is
I want to say this real quick, because I want to thank you, first of all. This has been a great discussion, and I appreciate your willingness to examine this, because you didn't have to, and I'm grateful to you for that. I want to say this to you, brother. Your fears are valid fears. They are real concerns. And I feel that they can be addressed only in the presence of just one thing. And I wonder if you agree with me. You don't have to tell me if you do, but I wonder if you do. Your fears and concerns can be addressed as long as we make a commitment as a tribe that no option to gain our due is off the table. You don't have to tell me if you agree with that. I'm not going to put you on the spot like that. I'm not going to demand that you commit publicly to that or anything like that. But your concerns truly can only be answered if we have all options available to us in order to press home our justice claim, right? Because if we limit ourselves to solely politics, then you're right. We get isolated and shut down politically, we're humped. We limit ourselves to only education, you're right. We get shunted off into substandard schools, all the resources taken out, we're isolated, we're humped, right? So you're absolutely right. If we focus on just a singular piece and make that the vehicle, right? The moment the tires pop, the alternator go bad, we're stuck.
Right.
But your fears, while valid, can only truly be answered if we find a way to get as many of us, it doesn't have to be a public commitment, fam, but to get as many of us as possible to commit to every single option we can conceive of currently and in the future being a viable option. In other words, not limiting ourselves to one vehicle, but being willing to drive any vehicle to our ultimate goal.
And I agree with you. I think that's what.
No, I appreciate, fam. I wasn't gonna make you commit publicly to that. I wanted to leave that on your mind, because I'm getting ready to kind of wrap it up. But I'm glad that you're committed to that. And again, we don't have to like all of the options that are presented to us, right? Because part of the time when we start talking about certain options, like, people will say, well, hey, we might need to practice our Second Amendment right to self and collective defense, right? Somebody's going to say, oh, you trying to get a whole bunch of niggas killed. No, what I'm saying is that if we throw that away as an option. We've just basically told America where we're not willing to go. So all they have to do to defeat us is just simply go where we're not willing to go, and we're done.
Right.
No option
absolutely.
to further our justice claim and to reach the ultimate goal of our due being delivered to us should be off the table, regardless of how we feel about it, regardless of what we think about it or what we like about it. And that has to be as a collective. That can't be just an individual commitment between you and me. Our people have to look at all the options and say, okay, you know what? I don't care what vehicle we drive. This is what's owed to us. This is our due, and we will have it. And we will have it, or no one will have it. When we make that commitment as a collective, then your fears, my brother, your concerns, your worries will be properly allayed. Because you're absolutely right. As long as we are limited to politics, as long as we are limited to education, as long as we're limited to the courts, right? As long as we limit to ourselves to just one vehicle, I can't properly allay your concerns because they're valid as concerns. Okay?
Yeah, that's the thing that, you know, that I look at when I look out over the landscape. Because like I think I told you before, I work in the public education system.
Yes, sir.
And I can tell you even now, you know, they're still floating around with 10, 12-year-old textbooks. You know, I put it in the chat earlier. They still have 10, 12-year-old textbooks. You know,
it's sickening.
Dragging their feet on getting more. You know,
but you know what though?
Pilot this, and we're going to pilot this for 3 years, and
now how about this?
Class and
how about this, brother? Are you familiar with any schools in your area that have updated textbooks?
Oh, yeah, the private ones.
The private ones? Okay, so then would you be okay? Would you be okay with a protest that marches from one of your schools over to a private school, walk up in that building, nonviolent as possible, and start snatching those textbooks out of there to take them back to your students in your school? Would that be something that you would think would be a viable option to help you to be able to see your kids get properly educated with good didactical materials and so on and so forth?
I think that would be a great resource, a great opportunity. Because hear me out on this one. Because I live in a very conservative area, and the student body is primarily Mexican.
Yep.
You know, it's about 60 Mexican, 40%, 38% white, 2% black. And that's pretty much the way
the breakdown, right?
It breaks down here. That our school board is very content, you know, with leaving the Mexicans and the poor whites who can't afford public schools, and a little smattering of blacks with 10-year-old textbooks.
Yep.
10, 12-year-old textbooks. And because I've thought about this, quite often, and one of the driving reasons that I'm trying to get up out of here myself is that this super minority that we have of black folks out here, of ADOS people out here, you got the Mexican folks trying to be white. You got the white folks trying to stay white.
Right.
And then you got the 2% ADOS out here.
Yep. And they don't know what the hell to do.
No, they don't, because I talked to their parents, and even I came out here, because I'm originally from Philadelphia. Even I came out here for different reasons. And once I got here, I was like, oh, this is not good. But, Mexican folks is trying to be as white as they can be as quickly as possible.
Then I say leave them there, fam. If you can do anything to help the little 2% of your brothers and sisters, your baby brothers and sisters, your little tribes people that are here, go for it. And if that means that we need to maybe organize some funding so that we can get them updated updated pedagogical materials, right? If we maybe have a sympathetic teacher who's willing to jump on board, or if we're able somehow, some way to get an inroad in administration who will back our play and allow us to maybe privately fund some educational materials, we might have to do that. All right. But you can't worry about them like them Hispanics there who just want to be the next whites up the bat. I'm sorry. I don't have no concern about their kids. I'm not worried about their education. Right. I got my own tribes people's education to worry about. You feel me? This kind of breaks this down to a really much easier thing. For example, right now the Democrats have been trying to tell us that we should be against school choice, right? But the fact is that school choice preserves public monies for private use. If we want the same type of education that our kids could get in some private school, right, then why are we standing up against school vouchers and stuff like that simply because the Democrats tell us we shouldn't support that? That don't make no sense. Right. If you and I can get together,
all their kids in private school,
right? But if you and I can get together and create an entity that tomorrow could then qualify for public funding for us to then acquire our own pedagogical and teaching, and curricula materials, our own teachers and this, that, and the third, why in the hell would we want less choice?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But as long as we are a captive vote to the D's and they get mad about school choice, then we're fucked. We need to roll independent. It ain't about the parties. It's about our interests. There are no permanent alliances, no permanent friends, only permanent interests.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. I didn't mean to go this long.
No, brother, no. This was a great call, brother, and you are always welcome to call in and share your insights to initiate a discussion. I definitely appreciate you, man. I hope you stick around. It's my pleasure to talk with you, and thank you so much for taking the time to give us a call tonight.
All right, and I always enjoy the show. Keep up the good work.
I will, brother. Thank you very much. Peace. Fam, I know other people will want to call in, but we're running real long on this one, and I apologize because you know me, I want to hear us all. So I'll probably do on Wednesday just an open broadcast, an open forum where I'll say maybe something that went on during the weekend. Then from there, maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then I'll just open up the lines and let people call in, and we can talk about the topics that have been coming up, some of the things that we're wanting to discuss, and so on and so forth. You feel me? All right, because I definitely appreciate all of you who are wanting to participate in the broadcast. This isn't my show, right? This isn't my broadcast. This is ours, right? So, yeah. And Vince, Venteri, I agree with you, right? You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it's about resources, but like I said, in certain jurisdictions, there's actually a lot of resources that are available, but because of the lack of choice, the lack of us being able to create the vehicles to support the better outcomes for our students, we're left with whatever it is that they set up. And that should not be. I don't know no black person in America who should be arguing for less choice, for less options, right? To me, it should have been a non-starter, a no-brainer to say that school choice is somehow a bad thing. That for black people, that should never have been something that we even listen to the Democrats on. We should have been like, what the fuck is you talking about? More options for my kids? More opportunities for my kids to get a decent education instead of being stuck up in your rabbit-ass, old-school-ass buildings? No. I support school choice 100%. That's a place where I actually have an aligning of interests with so-called Republicans or conservatives, right? We need to understand that those parties can either be vehicles to keep us trapped, like Venus flytraps to a fly, or we can use them as tools, as vehicles, and not just the D's and the R's. Like Sister Strongflower fucks with the greens heavy. I'd like to see us investigate that option more. There's some of us who are there are some of us who are involved with maybe the libertarians or socialist parties or the democratic socialists or whatever. I don't care what your chosen vehicle is, right? We need to not be aligned with parties, but be aligned with our interests. That's going to always be first and foremost, no matter what the case may be, right? So we definitely need to have an open discussion, and I'm going to dedicate to doing that Wednesday, fam. So, fam, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'm hungry. We've had a great discussion. RBG, holla, right? We don't care. On to the next. It'll be interesting to watch the tears flow from Donald Trump's nominee, right? And I'm not afraid to admit that I'm engaging in quite a bit of schadenfreude. I am being rode by the spirit of petty. This shit is cracking me the fuck up. But for us, family, the death of RBG changes nothing. One pony don't stop no show. Let all these other people feel like their rights is being threatened. They've been threatening our rights for 400 years. We can survive Donald Trump. We've had 44 of him. They the ones that are worried whether or not they can survive Donald Trump. And I say, good. So, fam, until next time, I want to thank you all again. Thanks to everybody that hit the super chat. Thanks to all the people who become supporting members. Thanks for those who hit me via the Cash App. I will make sure to respond to you on the application itself. I love you, fam. Thank you so much for just being you. You're worth every good thing this country has to offer. And I, as your brother, aim to see you get it. By hook or by crook. No option off the motherfucking tape. All right? So, fam, until next time, as always, I want to wish you all love, peace, prosperity, and power. Real power to our people.
You know, people complain about young black male unemployment, so then that leads people in to incarcerate them. You end up with black men being warehoused because black people pose the greatest genetic threat.